Lu Yu possessed a hidden profession wherein all the monsters he vanquished would transform into his summoned allies. You might wonder where the monsters have gone. They reside within my summoning space. The world's most formidable boss? That is merely a newly acquired subordinate of mine. Brother you, wake up quickly. So what if I was betrayed? That doesn't mean I should abandon gaming. The game Abyss is set to launch tonight. Betrayed? Abyss launching? Lu Yu abruptly opened his eyes to find a muscular man with a doll-like face standing before him. Are you Chinju? Didn't you die? Brother you, please don't curse me. The one who betrayed you is Zhu Xiaochuan, not me. But rest assured, I've already sent someone to seduce his girlfriend. Let's get him back in kind. Wait, that's not the main point. You mentioned Abyss is launching tonight? Indeed, in less than an hour. The launch of Abyss was merely an hour away. Could it be that I've been reborn? Haha, this incredible fortune has finally come my way. You haven't lost your mind, have you? It's just a betrayal, nothing to overreact about. Lu Yu cast a sidelong glance at Chinju. As a friend, he was irreplaceable, but his incessant chatter often made one want to silence him. With just an hour until the launch, what are you still doing here? Brother you must speak with integrity. I called you countless times, and when you didn't answer, I was worried something had happened, so I came to check on you. Oh right. Lu Yu recalled that after learning of his betrayal, he had drowned his sorrows in drink and slept until now. You should hurry back. Don't delay your entry into the game. On the table is a box meal I specifically bought for you. Eat it while it's hot. After finishing, Chinju departed. Lu Yu opened the box to find braised eggplant, spicy stir-fried meat, and a generous portion of rice. Excellent. It was all Chinju's favorite. Did he really buy this just for me? Having not eaten for a day, Lu Yu was indeed hungry, devouring the meal in no time. Surprisingly, it was quite delicious. Throughout the years, Chinju was Lu Yu's only close friend. A true friend is one who shares in each other's treasures. However, 2 years prior, according to the current timeline, it should be 1 year later Abyss descended upon the world. Everyone believed Abyss was merely a groundbreaking game, unaware that one day it would merge with Earth. Once Abyss descended, the game became reality, and humanity was thrust into a battle for survival. Chinju had perished in the Abyss after taking a blow meant for Lu Yu, unable to be revived. Lu Yu himself failed to avenge Chinju before being ambushed and killed on the battlefield. Clenching his fists, Lu Yu vowed, "Bamboo, rest assured, I will not allow you to die again. I will ensure that the scum of the underworld pays dearly." As for Zhu, Xiaochuan, and Sun Xiaoi, whom we once considered formidable foes, they are insignificant in the face of the otherworldly threats. However, since I have been reborn, I shall not let them escape either. With just 10 minutes until the game launch, Lu Yu reclined into the gaming pod. As the pod sealed shut, darkness enveloped him. Welcome to Abyss. The game will begin in 9 minutes and 17 seconds. The system is scanning your physical condition. Scan complete. You may create a character. Please enter your nickname. Clear wine. Congratulations. Name successfully registered. Please choose your profession. Based on your physical condition, you may select from the following professions. For figures illuminated in the darkness, an archer wielding a longbow, a warrior brandishing a shield, a priest holding a staff, and a summoner also with a staff. A summoner? In my previous life, this profession was not an option. Has my physical condition changed? Moreover, there is no summoner among the standard professions in Abyss. Could this be a hidden class? Summoner traits. Hidden profession, class talent. Can summon up to 3 creatures of a level not exceeding your own to fight. Indeed, it is a hidden profession. Lu Yu furrowed his brow. Hidden professions in Abyss do not necessarily imply strength, as many hidden classes are even weaker than standard ones. Among the renowned players Lu Yu knew in his past life, none had chosen the summoner class, indicating its average strength, potentially inferior to common professions. However, it could also be that no one selected this class in the past. Summoner? Lu Yu murmured softly. Should I choose it? You have selected the profession, Summoner. Hey, I was just expressing doubt, not making a decision. The system seemed to ignore Lu Yu's protest, continuing in a mechanical tone. Your gaming identity has been confirmed. 1 minute until the game begins. The system invites you to watch the promotional video. The promotional video lasts 30 minutes. Watching in full will grant you a beginner's gift package with a chance to obtain divine skills and other rare items. Would you like to watch? No. Lu Yu firmly declined. Those probabilities are well understood by those who know. The summoner class has been confirmed and cannot be changed. He could only hope it would not be too lackluster. He absolutely would not watch the promotional video. It was available only in the last minute before the game launch, seemingly a benefit for players, but in reality, it was a trap. Watching the promotional video would only delay entry into the game. The first 10 players to enter would receive the blessing of the Abyss, something far more precious than divine skills. In his previous life, nearly all players watched the promotional video, receiving beginner gift packages with many obtaining valuable items, believing they had struck gold. However, it was later revealed that the blessings of the Abyss granted to the top 10 players led to an outcry from the server's players, angrily cursing the developers. In truth, there were no developers. It was merely the Abyss operating quietly behind the scenes. Lu Yu had also once secured a beginner gift package, receiving a bronze weapon, which he flaunted for quite some time. But this time, you have declined to watch the promotional video. The beginner gift package will not be issued. You may still choose to watch the promotional video before the game begins. Rest assured, I will not be watching. Abyss countdown. 3, 2, 1. As the countdown reached 1, Lu Yu immediately focused his thoughts on entering the game. The surrounding darkness dissipated, and he found himself in a village. You have been randomly assigned to Novice Village number 12315. Congratulations, you are the second player to enter the game. The Abyss has taken notice of you and granted you a blessing. The blessing of the Abyss has enhanced your profession, transforming you into an Abyss Summoner. Surprisingly, someone entered the game even faster than he did. However, both the first and 10th players to enter would receive the same blessing of the Abyss. Lu Yu opened his attribute panel. Nickname: Clear Wine Level 0, Health 100, Magic 100, Skills none, Equipment none, Profession Abyss Summoner. Class Talent: can summon any unit you have killed non-player to fight for you, with no numerical limit. Summoned units cannot be resummoned after their death. Lu Yu stood in stunned silence. If he understood correctly, this profession might be exceedingly powerful. Chapter 2. Where's the big-eared rabbit? Lu Yu eagerly dashed out of the novice village. An elderly man with a head of white hair stood at the village entrance, his face etched with worry. Village Chief. Description: the chief of the novice village, seemingly troubled by some matter. This is the chief from whom one can accept a novice quest. Lu Yu approached him and asked, Village Chief, is there anything I can assist you with? The old man replied, Young lad, these big-eared rabbits have ravaged our crops. If we do not eliminate them soon, our village will lack food for the winter. Would you be willing to help clear away some of these rabbits? System notification: the village chief has issued you a quest to eliminate 20 big-eared rabbits and collect 20 pieces of their pelts. Quest reward: 10 reputation points, novice leather armor. Quest penalty: -1 village approval rating. Do you accept? Yes. This is merely a transitional novice task, designed to help players acclimate to the game, Abyss, without any extraordinary elements. Lu Yu glanced at a big-eared rabbit in the distance, one of its ears drooping. Big-eared rabbit, common monster, level 2 health, 80 defense, 1 attack, 10 skills, none. Click for more. Description: a little white rabbit, fluffy and soft, bouncing around in an endearing manner. This creature possesses the least impressive attributes among wild monsters, and if players do not engage them, they will not provoke any hostility. Any player with a modicum of gaming knowledge can easily defeat them. Since he had not acquired the novice gift pack, Lu Yu was left to confront the big-eared rabbit barehanded. He focused on the creature and swung his fist down with force. As anticipated, the tactile sensation was quite satisfying. The big-eared rabbit was struck, its eyes instantly turning a fiery red as it charged at Lu Yu. He sidestepped and retaliated with another punch. Having navigated the depths of the abyss for 3 years in a previous life, he possessed sufficient skill for this encounter. The only discomfort Lu Yu felt was due to his current movement and attack speeds being woefully sluggish. In his past life, both speeds were in the dozens, or even hundreds. Now, returning to a mere 1 or 2 points left him somewhat disoriented. As he narrowly evaded the rabbit's onslaught moments before, the big-eared rabbit missed its charge and turned around for another attempt. Lu Yu once again sidestepped and delivered a punch. After several exchanges, Lu Yu landed another blow on the big-eared rabbit, which finally collapsed, its body vanishing and leaving behind a rabbit pelt and 2 copper coins. The body vanished instantly? Shouldn't it remain in place until the next respawn, gradually disappearing afterwards? Could it be? System notification: you have slain the big-eared rabbit and gained 1 experience point. The big-eared rabbit has been stored in your summoning space. Lu Yu hurriedly opened his panel and indeed discovered a new interface beneath his inventory, summoning space. The summoning space seemed boundless, housing a rabbit with 1 drooping ear, quietly resting inside. It was the very rabbit Lu Yu had just defeated. It was thus revealed that the creatures one slays themselves are directly drawn into the summoning space and cannot respawn until they are summoned again and subsequently perished. With a chuckle, Lu Yu gathered the rabbit skins and copper coins, stowing them away in his backpack. He then summoned forth the large-eared rabbit from the summoning space. The attributes of the large-eared rabbit remained unchanged. It was still an ordinary rabbit in peak condition. The sole distinction was that it now completely obeyed Lu Yu's commands. Without hesitation, Lu Yu ordered the large-eared rabbit to attack while he targeted another creature. Within half a minute, the creature before Lu Yu fell. After another brief interval, both the wild large-eared rabbit and the summoned one succumbed to their fates, leaving behind 3 rabbit skins and 4 copper coins. Lu Yu was elated to discover that even summoned creatures could yield items, albeit they did not drop copper coins nor provide experience. The corpses of the 2 large-eared rabbits had vanished. Eagerly, he opened the summoning space, where 2 large-eared rabbits were curiously scanning their surroundings. Indeed, it was true. Not only the creatures he personally defeated, but also those dispatched by his summons could be collected into the summoning space, awaiting his command. Lu Yu promptly summoned both large-eared rabbits, issuing an attack order while simultaneously engaging one himself. Lu Yu was capable of dispatching 2 large-eared rabbits within a minute. and the summoned large-eared rabbit could also meet its wild counterpart in demise within the same time frame. Thus, after a minute, Lu Yu's summoning space was filled with 4 large-eared rabbits. Wasting no time, he summoned more from his backpack to engage in battle. Since this was a professional innate ability rather than a skill, it did not consume mana, alleviating any concerns about its usage. The only limitation lay in the swiftness of Lu Yu's hands. After 10 minutes, the number of large-eared rabbits he summoned exceeded 20. This pace of monster spawning was rather sluggish. Soon, as most players finished watching the promotional video and entered the game, competition for monsters would ensue. Lu Yu decisively altered his strategy, refraining from allowing the summoned large-eared rabbits to perish alongside their wild counterparts. Instead, he commanded 2 large-eared rabbits to simultaneously attack a single opponent, thus requiring nearly half a minute to eliminate 1 wild large-eared rabbit, all while ensuring that the summoned ones remained alive. Subsequently, he summoned the recently collected large-eared rabbit into the mix, allowing it to absorb damage while the other 2 launched their attacks. Through this continuous cycle, none of the summoned large-eared rabbits perished. Instead, their numbers proliferated rapidly. After another 10 minutes, the large-eared rabbits Lu Yu summoned had surged into the hundreds, whereas the total number of large-eared rabbits outside the village barely exceeded 1,000. The only regret that Lu Yu harbored was that the summoned large-eared rabbits could not regenerate their health. Regardless of whether they were withdrawn from combat or returned to the summoning space, the health they had lost remained unrecoverable. Consequently, over half of the several hundred large-eared rabbits under Lu Yu's command were in a state of critical health. However, this was of little consequence. Lu Yu continued to summon more rabbits, adhering to his previous strategy of attack. At this point, Lu Yu had ceased to personally engage in vanquishing the rabbits, as both of his hands were occupied with summoning them from the void. Even so, the number of rabbits within the space continued to multiply. After several minutes had passed, the summoning space was finally devoid of a single large-eared rabbit, while on the plains outside the village. The names of all the rabbits transformed from a hostile red to a friendly green. Lu Yu's level ascended to 3, his wealth reached 2 gold coins, and the rabbit pelts in his inventory amassed to a staggering 999. Fortunately, identical items occupied only 1 slot in his bag, otherwise, he would have been unable to accommodate them. With a hearty laugh, Lu Yu promptly recalled all the large-eared rabbits back into the summoning space to turn in his quest. A flash of white light heralded the arrival of a new player in the novice village numbered 12315. Having just viewed the promotional video, he received a beginner's gift pack and managed to obtain a piece of equipment, though it required him to reach level 1 to equip it. He was now in urgent need of leveling up. He hurried to the village entrance and encountered the sighing village chief. "Village chief, do you have any tasks for me?" "Youth, the large-eared rabbits outside the village have ravaged our food supplies, leaving us without provisions for the winter. Would you be willing to assist us in clearing some of them out?" "Absolutely," the player replied with enthusiasm, eager to undertake a quest that promised efficiency in monster slaying. "Village chief, where are the large-eared rabbits? I shall go clear them out at once." Just as the village chief raised his finger, poised to point, the verdant grasslands outside the village lay desolate and empty. Where have our large-eared rabbits gone? Chapter 3. The village chief and the elder chief. An increasing number of players entered the game, gathering around the village chief, gazing at the task involving the rabbits and the barren field, all falling into contemplation. Is this a bug? Isn't this game supposed to be fully realistic? How can there be bugs? This is unacceptable. I must file a complaint. Who is the publisher of this game? It seems there isn't even an official website or customer service. How are we supposed to level up without wild monsters? Must we venture further afield to slay other creatures? The other monsters are all at least level 4. A friend of mine just attempted to combat a diving crocodile and was instantly defeated, losing his novice gift pack staff in the process. All the players congregated at the village entrance, buzzing with discussion. Meanwhile, the village chief was drenched in sweat, still bewildered by how over 1,000 large-eared rabbits had suddenly vanished. Lu Yu strode confidently before the village chief. "Village chief, I have completed the task you assigned to me. Here is the quest item." Lu Yu took out all the fur of the big-eared rabbits from his backpack, creating a small mountain of pelts at the village entrance. These were quest items. Keeping them would only occupy space in his bag without any benefit, so he decided to hand them all over to the village chief. The surrounding players were momentarily stunned. They could see the information about the pelts, and, upon recalling the recently accepted quest, some began to grasp the situation. Could it be that all our big-eared rabbits have been exterminated by him? The game had only been live for half an hour. How could he possibly have killed so many? Even if he had, big-eared rabbits are wild monsters and should respawn, right? Lu Yu paid no mind to the players' murmurs, awaiting the village chief to distribute the quest rewards. Finally, the chief regained his composure, his astonishment swiftly transforming into a warm demeanor. "Adventurer, we thank you for your efforts. You have saved our village's food supply, and this is your well-deserved reward." System prompt. Due to your perfect completion of the quest, the rewards have been altered. You have received equipment reward, big-eared rabbit leather armor, X1, novice village hero, badge X1, 200 reputation, and 1 gold coin. To his surprise, having completely eradicated the big-eared rabbits also yielded additional rewards. Lu Yu hastily examined the two items he received. Big-eared rabbit leather armor. Plain. Level. 2 defense. 5 health. 100 wearing requirement. None description. Crafted from the fur of big-eared rabbits, it provides warmth while being slightly prickly. He had even received equipment. In Abyss, the quality of equipment ranges from plain to black iron, bronze, silver, gold, dark gold, diamond, earth, sky, and celestial. Beyond celestial, Lu Yu was unfamiliar, as during his past life, the best equipment on the leaderboard was merely a semi-celestial item. Novice Village Hero item, badge attack, 5 effect 1, upon wearing. All villagers' favorability increases by 10 effect 2. Villagers in the novice village cannot actively harm you description. Each player can wear a maximum of 3 badges simultaneously. This badge was quite useful in the novice village, particularly the aspect of increasing villagers' favorability, as many hidden quests required a certain level of favorability to trigger. Lu Yu recalled one such hidden quest he had seen in a forum before his reincarnation. The poster had disclosed the requirements and methods to accept the quest, with the most crucial being the villagers' favorability. It was a chain quest with high difficulty. The poster had not even completed the first stage. At that time, Lu Yu had already left the novice village, having merely glanced at the post without attempting the quest. This time, he could take on the challenge. After bidding farewell to the village chief, Lu Yu returned directly to the novice village. He first tossed a few severely wounded big-eared rabbits into the spring. Yet their health did not recover. It seemed that the life force of these summoned creatures could not be restored, which left Lu Yu feeling somewhat regretful. This signifies that these summoned entities are merely one-time occurrences. Following the directions from a post etched in his memory, Lu Yu meandered through several alleyways within the novice village, ultimately arriving at the threshold of a dilapidated thatched cottage. The cottage, though modest in size, emanated a foul stench reminiscent of rural latrines. The source of this repugnant odor was a filthy water pool situated in the yard. Beside the pool, an elderly man reclined in a chair, his body riddled with repulsive sores, his lips parting only to emit a series of moans. The former village chief, description, the previous chief of the novice village. Dismissed by the villagers due to his indolence, insatiable greed, and indulgence in vice, now lies grievously wounded, awaiting death at home. Should you choose to assist him, you may receive a reward. Is this the NPC responsible for issuing hidden quests? Suppressing his nausea, Lu Yu approached the yard, adhering to the principle that one must cherish those who provide sustenance. Old village chief, is there anything I can do for you? Turning towards Lu Yu, the village chief scrutinized him, and upon noticing the hero of novice village, badge adorning Lu Yu's chest, his eyes instantly sparkled with intrigue. Ah, young adventurer. It has been ages since one like you graced my abode. I am on the brink of starvation. If you could procure some food for me, it would be most delightful. Ideally, I crave the flesh of the shallow water crocodile, my utmost favorite delicacy. System notification. The old village chief has assigned you a quest. Hunt 200 shallow water crocodiles and return with 100 portions of their meat and 100 portions of their skins. Quest reward, unknown. Quest penalty, unknown. Do you accept? Goodness, no wonder the description of this old chief was so dismal. Lu Yu had initially suspected the current chief of deliberately tarnishing his predecessor's reputation, given that the chief possessed the authority to alter villagers' descriptive content. However, after reviewing this quest, Lu Yu concluded that the old chief's description was rather conservative. On the brink of starvation, yet he specifically requests only the flesh of shallow water crocodiles. 100 portions, no less. Is it even feasible for him to consume that much? Furthermore, he demands 100 crocodile skins. Can those even be ingested? Is he planning to concoct some form of gelatin? After a moment's contemplation, Lu Yu ultimately clicked to accept the quest. He intended to train on shallow water crocodiles anyway, so he might as well undertake this task as well. He turned to exit, for the odor here was overwhelmingly pungent. The voice of the old chief echoed behind him. Adventurer, make haste and return quickly. I am nearing the end of my endurance. If I perish, the novice village shall meet its doom. Without glancing back, Lu Yu dismissed the old man's words as mere desperation. He had no faith in his claims. Arriving at the shallow bay, the domain of the shallow water crocodiles, he observed, shallow water crocodile, common monster, level, 9 skills. Bite. The level 9 shallow water crocodile was no longer the benign wild creature like the big-eared rabbits near the village entrance. Moreover, its level exceeded Lu Yu's by at least 5, rendering him unable to glean any information about the shallow water crocodile. Lu Yu was about to summon the big-eared rabbit when he suddenly noticed something glimmering in a nearby puddle. Approaching it, he discovered a staff quietly resting within the water. Obsidian staff, magic power, 5 description, equipment obtained from the novice gift package. Who could have discarded such a weapon here? Lu Yu picked up the staff and equipped it immediately, as 5 points of magic power were better than none. He then summoned the big-eared rabbit. Onward, my bunnies. Chapter 4. The battle with the shallow water crocodile. The shallow water crocodile was already a formidable foe within the novice village. As the big-eared rabbit drew near, it instantly attracted the ire of a shallow water crocodile. The crocodile unleashed a biting attack on the foremost big-eared rabbit. 102 critical hit. One fully healthy big-eared rabbit was swiftly eliminated. The crocodile's assault faced a mere 1 point of defense from the big-eared rabbit, resulting in a significant breach of defense. The leading big-eared rabbit charged at the shallow water crocodile, its head colliding with the crocodile's tough hide. 1-1 miss, 1-1-17. Several instances of 1 appeared above the crocodile, interspersed with a few miss notifications. The sole instance of double-digit damage came from Lu Yu's efforts. The big-eared rabbit's 10 points of attack could not penetrate the crocodile's defense, inflicting only 1 point of force damage. However, with their overwhelming numbers, even a mere 1 point of force damage could deplete the crocodile's health by several points each second. Meanwhile, Lu Yu wielded his staff from a distance. Now equipped with a weapon, he could unleash magical attacks. The shallow water crocodile, with its thick hide, epitomized high health and defense. Even players of the same level in the physical realm found it challenging to breach its defenses significantly. Conversely, its resistance to magic was notably low. As a spellcaster of the Abyss Summoner class, Lu Yu held a distinct advantage against the crocodile. Before long, despite losing several big-eared rabbits, Lu Yu successfully defeated the shallow water crocodile. A crocodile skin and 5 copper coins fell to the ground, while within the summoning space, a new shallow water crocodile emerged. Its mouth agape. System notification: you have slain the shallow water crocodile and gained 3 experience points. The shallow water crocodile has been added to your summoning space. Lu Yu examined the crocodile's attributes. Shallow water crocodile, common monster, level 9 health, 1000 attack, 35 defense, 30, expand for more, skills, bite, opens its mouth wide to bite the opponent, dealing 150 physical damage and potentially causing the opponent to bleed. Upon reviewing the shallow water crocodile's attributes, Lu Yu felt a sudden disinterest in the big-eared rabbits. He resolved to replace all the big-eared rabbits in his summoning with shallow water crocodiles. Most of the big-eared rabbits were in a weakened state, rendering their continued presence somewhat pointless. Moreover, the large-eared rabbits lingered within Lu Yu's summoning space, rendering the players in the novice village No. 12315 incapable of undertaking their beginner quests. Presently, the novice channel buzzed with inquiries regarding the whereabouts of the large-eared rabbits. Some claimed to have spotted a few moments ago, only to have them swiftly vanquished by a throng of players, proving utterly insufficient for task completion. Alongside the players' mounting anxiety stood the village chief. The quests had been issued, yet the objectives had vanished. This predicament drew ire from numerous players, who unleashed their frustrations upon the venerable elder, a man of esteemed reputation unaccustomed to such humiliation. Yet, he found himself at a loss for words, as the absence of the large-eared rabbits was an undeniable fact, leaving him in a state of helplessness. Observing the discussions within the group, Lu Yu felt a twinge of embarrassment. After all, he had merely borrowed the novice-friendly wild monsters for a brief while. Although their absence rendered leveling significantly more arduous, it hardly warranted such vitriol. The decline in player decorum struck Lu Yu as disheartening, though his hands continued their work undeterred. The size of the shallow water crocodiles far exceeded that of the large-eared rabbits, allowing nearly 20 rabbits to simultaneously assault a single crocodile. Lu Yu organized the rabbits into groups of 50, totaling 20 groups, and commanded them to launch a concerted attack on the 20 shallow water crocodiles. After a round of battle, 1/3 of the rabbits perished, and Lu Yu's summoning space swelled with over 20 shallow water crocodiles. The remaining rabbits reformed their ranks and resumed their search for crocodiles to attack, while Lu Yu trailed behind to collect the dropped quest items and coins. After several rounds, the large-eared rabbits were nearly decimated, whereas the count of shallow water crocodiles in Lu Yu's summoning space approached nearly 100. Ultimately, with the assistance of the few remaining rabbits, Lu Yu succeeded in slaying another shallow water crocodile, resulting in the demise of all the rabbits. However, he retained one, a large-eared rabbit with folded ears, the first he had slain. As a memento, simultaneously, on the grassy expanse outside the novice village, large-eared rabbits continuously respawned. Damn, I just mentioned that it was a bug. If I find out who is responsible, I'll trace them through the internet. Stop right there. That large-eared rabbit was mine first. Unbeknownst to Lu Yu, events unfolded outside the novice village, as he now held a piece of equipment in his hands. In the realm of Abyss, the drop rate for ordinary monsters was exceedingly low. Lu Yu had slain nearly 100 shallow water crocodiles before finally acquiring this piece of equipment, a necklace. Crocodile's Tears, black iron item, level 5 defense, 15 attack, 10 wearing requirement, warrior description, watching your crocodile's tears flow. It is a sincere repentance cloaked in a facade of compassion, a quintessential piece of warrior gear, which Lu Yu had no use for. However, it could be bestowed upon Chen Zhu, as he remembered that the lad had chosen the warrior profession. Yet, it was highly likely he was in another novice village. Moreover, gifting a weapon to a friend is rather customary, yet bestowing a necklace upon them struck Lu Yu as somewhat peculiar. Never mind, he thought. I shall place it in the trading market. In the early stages of the game, equipment is scarce, and this necklace should fetch a reasonable sum, perhaps around 10,000. Upon purchasing the game warehouse, the account was linked to his bank card, allowing players to opt for either in-game currency or real currency for purchases. Following the advent of the Abyss, real currency became obsolete, and the in-game gold emerged as the sole medium of exchange. Opting for gold transactions was evidently more economical. However, given Lu Yu's current financial predicament, if he were to choose gold transactions, he might not survive until the abyss descends. He placed the crocodile's tears in the trading market, setting a 10-minute timed auction with a starting price of 30,000 yuan, hoping for a stroke of luck. Perhaps a foolish buyer might emerge. Upon closing the trading market, he prepared to continue leveling against the shallow water crocodiles when suddenly, a system notification appeared. System notification. The equipment, Crocodile's Tears, U auction has been instantly purchased by player, champion, unrivaled. A 10% fee has been deducted, and 27,000 yuan has been transferred to your bank card. Please check your account. To his astonishment, there truly was a naive buyer. Could it be that even novice equipment held such value? Little did Lu Yu know, the equipment was not inherently valuable. Rather, after he had taken away the big-eared rabbit, the players in Novice Village 12315 found themselves unable to level up and were thus in urgent need of equipment to enhance their attributes. Shortly thereafter, Lu Yu received another message. System notification. Player, champion, unrivaled, has requested to add you as a friend. Do you agree? He accepted the friend request, not due to the fact that this individual had purchased his equipment, but rather because of the name Unrivaled. The vice leader of the Champion Alliance, whose father had established it in the early days of the game, saw the Champion Alliance become a formidable force against the otherworldly threats following the Abyss's emergence. With the elder leader at the helm, the alliance was invincible. However, following a tragic incident, the elder leader passed away, leading many to believe the Champion Alliance would fade into obscurity. Yet, Unrivaled took up the banner of the Champion Alliance, and, through 3 consecutive victories in battle, propelled the alliance to unprecedented heights. At the time Lu Yu was defeated, the Champion Alliance remained one of the top 10 forces of the human faction. Lu Yu never anticipated that such a legendary figure would be in the same novice village as himself. Chapter 5. Unrivaled. After the friend verification, Unrivaled promptly sent a message. Hey, that necklace you have must have dropped from the shallow water crocodile, right? You can level up there now, so your level must be quite respectable. Thankfully, I completed the novice tasks a bit quicker than others, Lu Yu replied while managing the crocodile's attacks. Could you assist me in leveling up? Of course, but it will be compensated. You can set the price. It remains unclear which individual has taken all the large-eared rabbits from the novice quest, as now at every respawn point, several players are guarding them, rendering it nearly impossible to engage. Hey, why are you still cursing? A sum of 100,000 was proposed, with a promise to elevate one to level 10 within 24 hours. Lu Yu deliberately quoted an inflated price. The other party remained silent for a moment before responding. All right, but any equipment obtained must be split evenly. No split, only leveling up, Lu Yu replied. After sending this message, the other party ceased communication, seemingly abandoning the negotiation. Only a fool would agree to such a transaction of 100,000 for a mere level 10. Upon reaching level 10, players gain access to the second-tier main city, which boasts richer resources and a plethora of tasks. The first players to enter this city will be privileged to the best resources, thereby widening the gap with other players. In this light, the price of 100,000 seems somewhat reasonable. However, entering the second-tier main city is no simple feat. One must not only attain level 10, but also pass the village chief's trial. The intensity of this trial is such that even seasoned experts may falter. Ordinary players, unless equipped with a complete set of gear and decent skills, stand little chance of success. In his previous life, until the abyss descended, 1/10 of players remained stuck in the novice village, unable to escape. Lu Yu closed the dialog box and opened his attribute panel. He had now reached level 5 and had 25 free attribute points available for allocation. He had become so engrossed in summoning that he had forgotten this crucial step. As a summoner, a branch of the mage class, the most effective distribution would typically be 2 points in intelligence, 1 in constitution, 1 in agility, and 1 in resilience, mirroring the allocation patterns of most mages. However, Lu Yu harbored a bold idea. Upon equipping the staff, he had vaguely perceived an enhancement in the rabbit's attributes. Though the overt data remained unchanged, years of gaming experience enabled him to keenly sense that the hidden attributes of summoned creatures must correlate with his magic power. Therefore, he decided to allocate all his free points to magic power. After all, the summoned creature would absorb the damage, allowing him to simply direct from the rear. With all 25 points allocated to magic power, Lu Yu's magic strength surged past 50. Come, little crocodile, let us continue. Just as he was about to engage the shallow water crocodile, he suddenly received a message. System notification. Player, champion, unconcerned with the world, has transferred 100,000 to your bank card. Shortly thereafter, unconcerned with the world sent a message. Bro, the money has been transferred. Where are you? I'll come find you. Oh, this fellow truly is a fool. Adhering to the principle that one should not pass up an opportunity to profit, Lu Yu sent his coordinates. A few minutes later, a portly youth jogged over, bald-headed and wielding 2 axes that appeared dull and lackluster, resembling starter gear. Lu Yu encountered the renowned untroubled by the world for the first time. He had anticipated that this affluent scion, if not a dashing hero, would at least embody the grace of a refined gentleman. To his dismay, he found himself face to face with a rather unkempt man. Master of Clear Spirits. Are you a professional mage? Fortunately, I am a warrior and can assist you in bearing the brunt of damage. Upon noticing Lu Yu's level, untroubled by the world, sought to ingratiate himself. No need. Simply stay behind me and ensure your own safety, Lu Yu replied, sending a party invitation before summoning a newly acquired shallow water crocodile from his backpack. Whoa. Untroubled by the world gasped as several shallow water crocodiles materialized beside him, and he instinctively swung his axe, only to find that his attack did not breach their defenses. The system promptly notified him. Your summoned creature has been attacked by a teammate, and the party has been automatically disbanded. Untroubled by the world froze, clearly having received a similar notification. Striking a summoned creature equated to assaulting its master, and as a result of attacking a green-named player, Untroubled by the world had now become a gray name, unable to form parties for the next half hour. If Lu Yu were to eliminate him now, it would be deemed self-defense, and he would not become a red name. Is this your pet? Untroubled by the world inquired. No. Then I Haven T struck the wrong target. Again, Untroubled by the world raised his axe. This is my summoned creature, Lu Yu clarified. Untroubled by the world's arm froze midair. Summoned creature? Lu Yu gestured towards the front, commanding the shallow water crocodiles to engage in battle. If you continue to swing that axe recklessly, our transaction will be nullified, and I will not refund you. It was then that Untroubled by the world noticed a group of crocodiles engaged in a fierce struggle ahead. Among them, some bore green names while others displayed red names. The green-named crocodiles exhibited remarkable coordination, maintaining a deliberate attack rhythm and taking turns absorbing damage. Brother, are all those crocodiles your summons? Lu Yu nodded. Goodness. Untroubled by the world said, rubbing his bald head in astonishment. He obediently followed Lu Yu, and as soon as half an hour had elapsed, he promptly submitted a party request. Lu Yu directed the summoned shallow water crocodiles to clear the path ahead. Periodically, a red-named crocodile would fall, its body swiftly disappearing, leaving behind a crocodile hide, a piece of meat, and a few copper coins. Lu Yu collected the drops, placing them into his backpack before summoning another shallow water crocodile into his space. Untroubled by the world watched in awe. Within this brief span, he had risen from level 0 to level 2. It dawned on him that leveling up could be so effortless. Observing the newcomers in the village, struggling in vain to defeat a single large-eared rabbit, exhausted after much effort, yet gaining no levels, he marveled at his own progress. Akin to a leisurely stroll along the shore, that investment of 100,000 was indeed remarkably worthwhile. However, the sense of tranquility in the world left me with an impression that something was amiss. He observed as Lu Yu dispatched a wild shallow water crocodile, only to summon an identical one immediately thereafter, which subsequently ceased to respawn. The path they had just traversed yielded no new shallow water crocodiles either. This situation bore an uncanny resemblance to that of the great ear rabbit, did it not? With a sense of urgency, I took a few steps closer to Lu Yu and tentatively inquired, do you know about the bugs that occurred in our novice village during the first hour of the server launch? Are you referring to the disappearance of the great ear rabbit? Yes, precisely. Oh, that was my doing. Lu Yu spoke without hesitation, unperturbed by the look of disbelief on my face, as he casually picked up a newly dropped piece of equipment from the ground. Shallow water crocodile armor, level 10 health, 500 defense, 50 set bonus, 3-piece set, additional 1000 health 5-piece set, additional 100 attack description. This is the pinnacle of novice village gear. Believe it or not, at last, I managed to obtain a piece. A faint smile graced Lu Yu's face. Completing the task for the foolish old village chief was merely incidental, while acquiring a complete set of shallow water crocodile gear was his true objective. Chapter 6. Shallow water crocodile set. Due to our party arrangement, I was able to see the attributes of the shallow water crocodile set. Although it was merely level 10 equipment, its enhancements could still prove useful even at level 15. In an instant, I set aside my astonishment regarding the great ear rabbit to address Lu Yu, boss. If you manage to obtain the entire shallow water crocodile set, would you sell it? I can offer 200,000. Not for sale, Lu Yu replied without hesitation. This was intended for his own use. As a mage, his vitality was frail, making him susceptible to swift demise during the village chief's level 10 challenge. The shallow water crocodile set, with its emphasis on high attack and defense, was precisely what he needed for survival. And no amount of currency would persuade him to part with it, unless he could acquire a second set. However, given the drop rates in the abyss, obtaining even one set before level 10 was remarkable, and Lu Yu had grander plans beyond that threshold. 300,000. I can go as high as 300,000. I began to raise my offer, as I was a warrior class, and this set was ideally suited for me. Lu Yu continued to shake his head. You offer me 3 million, and I might consider it. Forget it. If my father learned that I spent 3 million on novice gear, he would surely disown me. If I were your father and discovered you had purchased that crocodile's tears, I would have already disowned you. I retorted, boss, at least my items were purchased from you. Is it fair to say such things? Regardless, you have the wealth, Lu Yu replied nonchalantly. He had discerned that I was still a callow youth, devoid of the commanding presence that would later define my prowess on the battlefield. It is not my wealth, it is my father's fortune. However, I believe that the necklace I purchased was worth every penny. Without acquiring that necklace, how could I have had the fortune of meeting someone as distinguished as you? Lu Yu remained noncommittal. In the foreground, the shallow water crocodile valiantly engaged in combat, while behind, the untroubled companion chatted leisurely with Lu Yu. Most of the conversation revolved around him lamenting about his father. Unlike other affluent individuals who indulge in multiple wives or maintain relationships with starlets, his father adhered to a strict marital regime. A mere glance at another woman would earn him a lengthy reprimand from his mother. Consequently, his father's time was consumed solely by work and gaming. Moreover, his father's method of relieving stress involved striking him. As a child, he often found himself on the receiving end of a beating, initially believing it was due to being caught disparaging his father. Eventually, he realized that his father was oblivious and simply enjoyed the act of playfully hitting him. Lu Yu was taken aback to discover that this version of the untroubled companion was not only a jokester, but also quite loquacious, as he spoke incessantly for over 3 hours. Initially, Lu Yu listened with keen interest, but gradually grew weary, especially after the companion recounted the tale of his father's financial ruin at the hands of a con artist for the second time. This made Lu Yu wish to kick him forward to join the shallow water crocodile in battle. Nevertheless, the 3 hours bore fruit. Lu Yu advanced to level 8, while the untroubled companion reached level 7. They had long surpassed the required quest items, and even the shallow water crocodile set yielded 2 more pieces, a helmet and a pair of shoes. Each player may equip a maximum of 11 items, including a helmet, chest armor, wrist guards, a belt, a cloak, leg armor, shoes, rings, left hand, rings, right hand, a necklace, and a weapon. The shallow water crocodile set consists of 5 pieces: helmet, chest armor, wrist guards, leg armor, and shoes. Within the depths of the abyss, the more pieces of a set one possesses, the stronger the set's effects. Lu Yu needed only the wrist guards and leg armor to complete the shallow water crocodile set, with approximately half of the crocodiles remaining in the bay, which should yield the remaining equipment. As for the other half, they had already become Lu Yu's subordinates. He had summoned nearly 1,000 shallow water crocodiles, significantly enhancing their monster-slaying efficiency. The untroubled companion gazed at his soaring experience points, his mouth agape in astonishment. Just as Lu Yu could no longer tolerate the companion's lewd grin and was poised to kick him forward to absorb damage, a tremendous roar suddenly echoed from the depths of the shallow bay. System prompt: due to your party eliminating over half of the shallow water crocodiles, the leader has been incensed. The king of shallow water crocodiles will arrive in 30 seconds. Please prepare yourselves. Here comes the boss. Lu Yu swiftly expelled the untroubled companion from the team. Esteemed one, take me along to face the boss. I can endure. If you wish to avoid losing levels, it would be wise to stay back and behave. Is this how you treat your benefactor? Lu Yu redirected his staff, unleashing an attack upon the peaceful figure of Wu Shi Wuzhong. The latter collapsed onto the ground, as Lu Yu's casual strike had effectively depleted half of his health points. The most critical aspect was that Lu Yu's name was now grayed out, rendering him unable to form a party for the next half hour. Humph. You ignore me today while battling the boss. Tomorrow, I shall make you regret it. Wu Shi Wuzhong retreated several steps, shouting, "Be careful, big shot. After defeating the boss, remember to continue leveling me up." Lu Yu, without looking back, dashed forward. The boss could only drop the best loot if defeated solo, and this was the first kill since the server's launch, an event that guaranteed valuable rewards. Lu Yu had 2 treasures he would never share. One was the boss, and the other was his girlfriend, though perhaps it was best not to mention the latter. He was determined to reclaim his honor. Lu Yu commanded his summoned shallow crocodile to gather, and the creature, engaged with a wild beast, swiftly concluded the battle. Joining Lu Yu's side, the shallow crocodile king was one of the 4 major bosses in the novice village, and Lu Yu knew he had to proceed with caution. As the 30-second countdown reached its conclusion, a massive 5-meter crocodile leapt out of the water. Shallow crocodile king, black iron grade boss, level, 15 skills, blood basin bite. Death roll. Without a doubt, it was another enigma. However, Lu Yu vaguely recalled the attributes of this shallow crocodile king. Defeating the ordinary shallow crocodiles here was as simple as a single bite. Moreover, the death roll was a group attack, making it even more formidable. As the shallow crocodile king emerged, it immediately executed the skill, death roll, crushing the nearest summoned shallow crocodiles into a pulp, leaving behind several crocodile skins and a piece of equipment. Wow. Summoned creatures drop equipment upon death? Lu Yu felt as though he had stumbled upon a new frontier. Yet, this was not the time for such musings. The shallow crocodile king had already bypassed Lu Yu's numerous subordinates, lunging directly at him. Chapter 7. First kill of the boss. Lu Yu, observing the charging shallow crocodile king, felt as though he was gazing at a pet about to enter his summoning space. The bosses in the novice village possessed little intelligence. It targeted Lu Yu first, solely due to the perceived threat he posed. Kami. Lu Yu directed the nearby summoned shallow crocodiles to attack. 21, 17, 42. A series of damage numbers whittled away over 200 health points from the shallow crocodile king, his health bar barely registering a decline. This boss's health was at least above 20,000. Upon receiving the assault from the summoned shallow crocodiles, The shallow crocodile king's enmity swiftly shifted. It twisted its colossal form and unleashed the skill, Blood Basin Bite, sinking its teeth into the neck of the summoned shallow crocodile that had delivered a critical hit. 11-11. That shallow crocodile was instantly obliterated. As Lu Yu seized the opportunity during the momentary rotation of the shallow water crocodile king, he promptly commanded the summoned shallow water crocodiles on the opposite side to launch their assault. The shallow water crocodile king, massive in size with tough skin and substantial flesh, delivered formidable blows with each strike. Yet, this very bulk rendered its movement somewhat cumbersome, presenting Lu Yu with a chance to vanquish it. He raised his staff, unleashing a magical attack that struck the crocodile king. The damage inflicted, a staggering 249, was indeed terrifying. One of Lu Yu's regular attacks equated to the combined might of several summoned shallow water crocodiles. As Lu Yu reveled in his remarkable damage output, the severely wounded crocodile king let out a deafening roar, redirecting its wrath squarely onto him. Its robust claws thudded against the ground as it charged towards Lu Yu. Alarmed by the imminent threat, he urgently commanded the other shallow water crocodiles to intensify their assault. After a relentless barrage of damage, the aggro was finally regained. Thankfully, he narrowly avoided being overwhelmed by the crocodile king's approach. As a mage who had allocated all his attributes to magical power, being engaged in close quarters would spell inevitable doom for him. Lu Yu, now acutely aware of the danger, moderated his attack frequency. Once the summoned shallow water crocodiles had firmly secured the aggro, he executed a single strike to ensure that the crocodile king's ire did not shift back to him. Encircled, the crocodile king's aggro fluctuated wildly. It could only rotate its cumbersome body to retaliate. When provoked to its limits, it unleashed a death roll, taking down several summoned shallow water crocodiles. However, the lengthy cooldown for this area attack limited its impact on the overall battle. From his vantage point, Lu Yu orchestrated the movements of the summoned shallow water crocodiles, feeling as though he was transforming an action game into a strategic one. The number of summoned crocodiles had dwindled to fewer than 150, and the crocodile king's health had fallen below half. Consequently, its frequency of using death roll had increased. Theoretically, this could lead to the elimination of some shallow water crocodiles. However, Lu Yu was acutely aware that all bosses randomly possessed one of two signature skills: Invincible Body or Death Recovery. Some formidable bosses even wielded both abilities. Invincible Body functioned as a form of invulnerability, allowing the boss to become immune to control effects and dispel all negative status effects, with duration varying according to the boss's level. Conversely, Death Recovery was a long cooldown recovery skill that instantly restored 25 health when the boss's life plummeted below 10. Lu Yu could not ascertain which skill the Crocodile King possessed. If it were Invincible Body, there would be minimal threat. However, should it be Death Recovery, his remaining summoned shallow water crocodiles would be insufficient. He realized he needed a strategy to interrupt the Crocodile King's death roll. If an attack targeted a critical point while the skill was being cast, there existed a probability of disrupting the ability, though the damage inflicted could be minimal. The impact must be substantial enough to destabilize the target's balance, thereby interrupting its incantation. Although Lu Yu's basic attacks could not achieve this feat, the assault from the summoned alligator could. With the health of the Alligator King reduced to 30, it raised its head once more, preparing to unleash its devastating roll. Seizing the moment, Lu Yu directed a summoned alligator to strike its jaw. The Alligator King staggered but quickly regained its balance, executing the deadly roll, resulting in the immediate demise of several summoned alligators. Lu Yu's summoned alligators were now fewer than 100. This was insufficient. A single alligator's impact lacked the necessary force. Watching Lu Yu's maneuvers, the player known as Untroubled by the World wore a puzzled expression. He too recognized the threat posed by the Alligator King's roll, which could potentially thwart Lu Yu's efforts. Yet, what was the expert attempting to achieve by directing the alligator to collide with the boss's jaw? Was that the weak point of this foe? However, no increase in damage was observed. Lu Yu swiftly repositioned his summoned alligators, continuing to gradually whittle away at the Alligator King's health. Soon enough, the Alligator King lifted its head once more, ready to initiate another deadly roll. Now was the moment. Lu Yu commanded 3 alligators to simultaneously charge at the Alligator King's jaw. The Alligator King stumbled, striving to stabilize itself, but its center of gravity had shifted. After a moment of struggle, it toppled over, legs in the air. Indeed, this was extraordinary. Untroubled by the World was left agape. Was this even possible? The boss's skill had been interrupted. He hurriedly activated the recording function, intent on capturing the entire sequence of Lu Yu's skill interruption. This was no mere skill but a remarkable display of finesse, necessitating rapid reflexes and precise control. Such footage would be invaluable for learning. Untroubled by the World resolved to review it repeatedly. Previously, Lu Yu had merely issued commands to the alligators, but at the moment of the interruption, he controlled the alligators to strike. In essence, he had transformed himself into an alligator, orchestrating its movements as if he were commanding his own body. The alligator, now helplessly overturned, posed no threat. Lu Yu promptly commanded all remaining alligators to unleash their full assault. Seizing the opportunity, a flurry of damage numbers appeared above the Alligator King's head, causing its health to plummet to 10. At that instant, a crimson glow enveloped its form. Indeed, it was the death restoration. The alligator's health returned to 35, and it finally managed to right itself. However, Lu Yu remained unfazed, following a single death restoration. The alligator king would be unable to initiate a second one for some time. During this interval, he was fully confident in wearing down the boss. As time ticked by, the alligator king's health dwindled to less than 2. Sensing its impending demise, it bit down on a summoned alligator before attempting to flee. Lu Yu was taken aback. Even the boss of the novice village possessed such cunning? He had tirelessly battled the boss for over half an hour. He could not allow it to escape. Commanding the summoned shallow water crocodile to cling fiercely to its target, he disregarded the enmity value, relentlessly wielding his staff. Waves of magical damage cascaded upon the shallow water crocodile king. At last, after another strike of his staff, the creature's body stiffened and fell heavily to the ground. Subsequently, its carcass vanished, leaving behind a piece of crocodile meat, a crocodile hide, a piece of equipment, and a skill book on the shore. System notification: congratulations on achieving the first kill of the Black Iron level boss, Shallow Water Crocodile King, in the Novice Village, earning you 1500 reputation and 50 experience points. System announcement: congratulations to player Qingjio for accomplishing the first kill of the Black Iron level boss, Shallow Water Crocodile King, in the Novice Village, receiving 1500 reputation and 50 experience points. This announcement serves as encouragement for all players to strive for further achievements. 2 system messages appeared. One was a private note to Lu Yu, and the other was a public system announcement, which is only issued for the first boss kill across the entire server. Meanwhile, in Novice Village 12315, both the village chief and the elder turned their gazes toward the direction of the shallow bay, their expressions contemplative. Chapter 8. The art of cloning. A radiance enveloped Lu Yu, as the experience from defeating the boss and the first kill bonus elevated him to level 9. After one more level, he would be able to challenge the village chief and depart from the Novice Village to the level 2 main city. Lu Yu collected the equipment dropped by the boss and the 2 items previously summoned from the shallow water crocodile. First, he examined the crocodile meat and hide. Shallow water crocodile meat, black iron material. Description: a rare and exquisite ingredient, beneficial for strengthening the body and detoxifying. Shallow water crocodile hide, black iron material. Description: a sturdy leather armor. If one could find a skilled craftsman, it may be fashioned into a remarkable piece of leather armor. Both items were quite commendable materials, which Lu Yu stored in his backpack for future sale or personal use. He then picked up the 3 pieces of equipment, 2 of which were parts of the shallow water crocodile set, namely the bracers and leggings. With this, Lu Yu had completed the shallow water crocodile set. The final piece of equipment was the sole item dropped by the shallow water crocodile king. A chest armor, Crocodile King's leather armor, bronze item, level, 15 health, 1500 defense, 80 bonus, increases health cap by 5 trait. Familiar mastery, reduces the user's level requirement by 5. Description: equipment dropped by the top 10 bosses in the Novice Village. Collecting all 10 pieces may yield unexpected surprises. From a black iron level boss, a bronze item had been obtained. Lu Yu gazed at the Crocodile King's chest armor in his hands, then at the shallow water crocodile set in his backpack, and decided it would serve as his strongest novice set. He waved to the reclusive player lingering nearby, who promptly approached. "My lord, did you call for me?" After witnessing Lu Yu's solo defeat of the boss, the admiration from Wushi Wuzheng for Lu Yu reached an unprecedented zenith. Anyone with a modicum of gaming knowledge could discern that Lu Yu's triumph was not solely attributable to a horde of summoned minions. "I have gathered the complete set of the shallow water crocodile armor. Do you want it?" Yes. Thank you, esteemed one. I won't give it away. I will sell it to you for 500,000. 500,000. Wushi Wuzheng hesitated. "If you choose not to buy, I will just list it on the trading platform." Buy? Please wait a moment. I will log off to gather the funds." After saying this, Wushi Wuzheng became immobile, indicating he had indeed logged off. When players log off, their avatars remain in a state of suspension within the game. If attacked by monsters or other players during this period, they can only endure the assault until death, at which point they return to the fountain, awaiting revival upon logging back in. Wushi Wuzheng was quite audacious to log off so nonchalantly. A complete set of shallow water crocodile armor is not exorbitantly priced. For players with average skills aspiring to defeat the village chief, possessing a top-tier set is essential. One must either invest a considerable amount of time grinding or directly purchase a set. Lu Yu recalled that in his previous life, 2 weeks after the server launch, the shallow water crocodile set could be sold for 70,000 to 80,000. While Wushi Wuzheng busied himself gathering funds, Lu Yu examined the last remaining drop, a skill book. Clone technique, skill description, creates a duplicate of oneself, which can be controlled to act. Lu Yu promptly clicked to learn. In the Abyss, one could only acquire ordinary professional skills from the vocational mentors in the secondary main city, while advanced skills are exclusively learned through skill books. As the skill book vanished, Lu Yu's skill bar now featured his first skill. Clone technique, skill, effect. You can create a duplicate, The duplicate possesses 50 of your total attributes and can be commanded to fight on your behalf. Cooldown, 15 minutes cost, 50 magic and life proficiency, 1000 Lu Yu's eyes brightened. By expending half of his life and magic, he could replicate a version of himself with half his attributes, and this was merely a one-star effect. As proficiency increased, there was potential to create a clone that closely mirrored his true strength. Without hesitation, Lu Yu unleashed the clone technique. Instantly, half of his life and magic were consumed, and a figure gradually separated from his shadow, coalescing into a duplicate that bore an identical appearance to Lu Yu. He attempted to control the clone and found no impediments. The only challenge lay in managing two actions simultaneously. If not actively controlled, the clone could autonomously attack or absorb damage, albeit with a somewhat rudimentary intelligence. Overall, with the acquisition of this skill, Lu Yu's survivability significantly enhanced, effectively compensating for his inherent fragility. Regrettably, one can only replicate attributes, not the nuances of one's profession. Otherwise, before each battle, one could duplicate oneself and thus possess a veritable army of summons. Lu Yu opened his summoning space, where a colossal crocodile lay resting upon the ground, a significant prize from this particular boss battle. With the king of shallow water crocodiles at his side, Lu Yu felt emboldened to confront the village chief, as this was merely a test before entering the secondary main city, and the chief would likely not exert his full strength. Based on Lu Yu's experience, when players challenged the village chief, he would utilize only 20 to 30 of his power, adjusted to the player's capabilities. Nevertheless, even under these circumstances, victory was no simple task. Summoning the king of shallow water crocodiles, a 5-meter-long behemoth materialized beside him. Exuding an oddly endearing aura, "Go forth and cleanse this shallow bay, but strive to remain unscathed," Lu Yu commanded. The giant crocodile turned and began its march toward the shallow bay, which soon fell victim to a cataclysmic slaughter. Ordinary wild creatures lacked unified leadership and thus did not band together to confront the king. As long as the king did not provoke too many shallow water crocodiles at once, he could effortlessly transport the entirety of the bay's crocodiles into Lu Yu's summoning space without harm. "Boss, I'm back," with a serene demeanor. The individual known as Yishir Wu Zheng regained vitality. "You go this way. You head in that direction." Lu Yu watched as Yishir Wu Zheng approached his doppelganger, prompting him to control both his avatar and himself to speak simultaneously. "What the heck?" Yishir Wu Zheng exclaimed, nearly dropping the axe he held. "Boss Qingjiao, what is going on? Have you encountered the six-eared Qingjiao?" "What on earth is six-eared Qingjiao?" "That's my skill doppelganger," Lu Yu replied, deactivating the skill and reintegrating the doppelganger back into himself, instantly replenishing his health and mana. Only then did Yishir Wu Zheng cautiously approach. "Boss, you'll have 500,000 deposited to your account shortly. You're accumulating funds quite rapidly. I promised my father that I would log off immediately after acquiring the shallow water crocodile set, so he could give me a good thrashing," Yishir Wu Zheng lamented, raising his hands in resignation. Lu Yu couldn't help but give a thumbs up, a true wolf slayer. Before long, Lu Yu received a notification of the transaction, promptly transferring the shallow water crocodile set to Yishir Wu Zheng. Upon acquiring the set, Yishir Wu Zheng beamed with delight. "Boss, why are you looking at me? Wait until you log off to receive your punishment." Hearing Lu Yu's words, Yishir Wu Zheng's expression immediately soured. "Boss, I fear I won't be able to log on today. Remember to take me leveling up tomorrow." With that, Yishir Wu Zheng logged off at the novice village. Lu Yu remained by the shallow bay, awaiting the king of crocodiles to gather all the shallow water crocodiles into his possession. 2 hours later, Lu Yu's level finally reached a remarkable 9, with nearly 99 experience points. The higher the level in the abyss, the more arduous the journey of advancement becomes. Previously, vanquishing half of the shallow water crocodiles was sufficient for Lu Yu to ascend from level 3 to level 8. However, now he finds himself unable to progress even a single level. Nevertheless, upon submitting the task assigned by the village elder, he should be able to reach level 10. The Crocodile King has also returned, still boasting 95 health points, while not a single shadow of a crocodile can be seen within the shallow bay. Excellent. Once he submits the elder's quest, he will challenge the village chief and subsequently head to the level 2 main city. Chapter 9. The competition for allegiance. Upon returning to the novice village, Lu Yu found a multitude of players fervently battling the big-eared rabbit outside its gates. It is no surprise, most players can only contend with such beneficial wild creatures before reaching level 5. Lu Yu has always considered the design of the novice village to be rather unreasonable, lacking suitable wild monsters for experience grinding, and the acquisition of equipment is exceedingly difficult. Even when one reaches level 10 and assembles a decent set of gear, the village chief invariably poses an obstacle. In his past life, this very issue led numerous players to abandon the abyss. Consequently, when the abyss descended from another world, the majority of humanity found themselves as mere level 0 novices, suffering considerable losses. However, the structure of the novice village was a decision made by the abyss itself, leaving Lu Yu with no choice but to strive diligently to enhance his own abilities. Upon entering the novice village, Lu Yu chose to forego submitting his quest and instead logged off. He had been online for 8 consecutive hours, while hunger was a minor concern. His bladder was nearing its limit. Exiting the gaming pod, he inhaled deeply before hastening to the restroom for a 2-minute relief. Thereafter, he accessed his bank account. The balance clearly displaying a string of numbers: 62, 712, 537. Splendid. He no longer had to fear starvation. Although this fortune would soon dwindle, the sight of that balance provided a comforting sense of security. Liu Yu then opened an application titled Abyss, which had mysteriously appeared on everyone's phones half a month prior. Many believed it to be a piece of junk software that had been automatically installed as an advertisement, yet it could not be uninstalled. This incident sparked considerable public discourse at the time, but as the application never actively pushed notifications to users, it gradually faded from attention. However, Liu Yu understood that this was, in fact, an official initiative to ensure that people were made aware of the Abyss in advance, forcibly installed on all phones. For reasons unknown, the authorities were unable to disclose the impending arrival of the Abyss to the general populace, thus resorting to this subtle method of notification. It was through this application that Liu Yu first learned of the game Abyss, ultimately deciding to withdraw all his savings to purchase a standard gaming pod. Now, his objective was to acquire a more advanced gaming pod. Upon opening the mall page, one encounters 3 distinct items: a standard gaming pod priced at 30,000 yuan, an advanced gaming pod at 180,000 yuan, and a nutrient solution available at 5,000 yuan per liter. The primary distinction between the standard and advanced gaming pods lies in their capacity to accommodate the nutrient solution. The advanced gaming pod allows for the infusion of nutrient solution, enabling an adult to immerse themselves in the game for 24 hours without any adverse effects on their health, and it may even aid in physical well-being. It can even eliminate the need for basic bodily functions such as eating, drinking, or sleeping. However, the nutrient solution is not a panacea. It cannot replace human muscular activity, necessitating occasional physical movement every few days. Liu Yu promptly ordered 2 advanced gaming pods and utilized the remaining funds to purchase the nutrient solution. The gaming pods were scheduled to arrive by noon the following day. After placing an order for takeout, Liu Yu finished his meal and reclined on his bed to sleep. Before slumbering, he sent a message to Chinju: "Return your rented apartment. You are welcome to stay here from now on." Not long after Liu Yu fell asleep, a video was uploaded online. Within a mere half hour, it garnered over 100,000 views. In the footage, a man wielded a staff, commanding a multitude of shallow water crocodiles. Before him lay a massive crocodile, which easily dispatched several shallow water crocodiles with each of its attacks. As the man and the shallow water crocodiles faced imminent defeat against the crocodile, the man ceased his assault and fixated intently on the creature. Moments later, just as the crocodile prepared to unleash another skill, several shallow water crocodiles leapt from the water, colliding with the crocodile, causing it to lose balance and topple onto its back, interrupting its skill. The video abruptly ended at this point. Yet the barrage of comments flooded the screen. Can someone explain why the wild monsters are attacking each other? Is this a bug? Clearly, this individual possesses a skill or class ability that enables them to control wild monsters. Does anyone recall the disappearance of the big-eared rabbit in Novice Village 12,315? I believe this is connected to this person. Are you all missing the point? Shouldn't the focus be on the skillful interruption of the crocodile's ability? What is so noteworthy about interrupting a skill? It's merely directing shallow water crocodiles to collide with the boss. Clearly, the above commenter is a novice in online gaming. Interrupting a boss's skill requires stringent conditions. One must not only identify the boss's center of gravity within a remarkably short time frame, but also pinpoint the precise location to disrupt that balance. The boss's skill animation is brief, with this crocodile's wind-up lasting only about 0.5 seconds. The person above must be exaggerating, if what you say is true. This individual's reaction time would have to be 0.1 seconds. Even those with professional training would find this nearly impossible. Does a summoner even require such skill? The most terrifying aspect is their class, which can summon wild monsters. If there are no restrictions, that approaches invincibility. Regrettably, this remarkable individual has been obscured. Otherwise, I would certainly seek to align myself with them. Oh, esteemed one, could you perhaps assist others in leveling up? A figure of 170 centimeters, 110 pounds, with a bust size of 36D, gentle and charming, easily swayed. Those weighing 170 pounds upstairs should refrain from speaking. Meanwhile, executives from various studios convened an urgent meeting. You have all seen the video. What are your thoughts? The person in the foremost seat spoke solemnly. Boss, that individual's profession is quite unique. I am not referring to the profession, but rather his skillful execution. The meeting room fell into a profound silence. Don't you all usually consider yourselves formidable? Why the sudden silence? How long do you think it would take for you to reach his level? Boss, it would take at least 3 to 3.5 months, which is somewhat acceptable. No, boss, it would require a minimum of 3 years, and even then, only the most gifted individuals in the studio might achieve it. In the game, a system announcement echoed. Player Yinmeng, Yijin speaks, brother in the forum video. Would you be interested in joining our Yinmeng? An annual salary of 80 million. Here we are all brothers. This is a server-wide announcement, costing 100 000 for a single line. Players in the game erupted in astonishment. Yinming is renowned in the online gaming community as a super guild, yet last year, their guild leader's salary seemed to be around 50 million. Before these players could recover from their shock, several more system announcements rang out. System announcement, player champion. Du Guohua speaks. Brother from the video, the champion guild eagerly awaits your joining. With a minimum annual salary as a small target, other conditions can be discussed privately. System announcement, player Fengyue, Minjiwai speaks. Greetings to the player in the forum video, I am the leader of the Fengyue Alliance. Sincerely inviting you to join us with an annual salary of 100 million, and we have various types of lovely ladies in our guild. In Kyoto, at the official building. Within the special events department office, a middle-aged man in a formal suit sat at the head of the table, a dark green cane beside him. The man clasped his hands on the table. Have we clarified the identity of the person in the video? A young man hastily replied, report, sir. We have identified a potential target, but the source data is in the abyss, and we cannot be 100 certain. Bang. The middle-aged man slammed his palm on the table. Cannot be 100 certain? With the full strength of the nation, you cannot uncover the identity of a single player? What purpose do we serve if not to provide you with the means to do so? The young man bowed his head, silenced. The middle-aged man took a deep breath. Elaborate. Yes. The young man quickly placed the materials before the middle-aged man. We have located the account that released the video and discovered the publisher, a player from the champion guild named Du Xiaoqian. Du Xiaoqian? Du Guohua's son? The middle-aged man raised an eyebrow. Yes, sir. The middle-aged man gestured for him to continue. We intended to obtain information directly from Du Xiaoqian, but he has consistently refused to speak, and we dared not force him. Thus, we sought clues elsewhere. In the video, the individual managed to vanquish the boss by manipulating wild creatures. From the footage, it appears that the boss in question is the shallow water crocodile king. Furthermore, in the novice village numbered 12315, there was an incident involving a bug that seemingly caused the disappearance of the great ear rabbit. Coupled with the system announcement, it can be inferred that the player in the video is likely named Qingjio. Such details, with a modicum of attention, are discernible to anyone. As for his real-world identity, sir, just half an hour ago, this player named Qingjio placed an order for 2 advanced gaming pods on the Abyss app. By tracing the linked bank account, we discovered that the individual behind the order is named Lu Yu, a former gold farmer from the Aotion studio. Former? Indeed, sir. Just 2 weeks prior, Lu Yu was expelled from the Aotion studio, and it appears this was due to the mainstay of the studio, Zhu Xiaochuan, usurping Lu Yu's girlfriend and subsequently ostracizing him. The middle-aged man chuckled coldly. Aotion studio? If that fellow Xing Aotion were to find out, he would surely regret it immensely. Sir, Lu Yu's profession has undergone enhancement through the Abyss. Should we not attempt to make contact with him? The middle-aged man shook his head. The more individuals who are aware of the Abyss's emergence, the swifter its arrival will be. We must strive to prolong this period, allowing more people to enter the game and thereby enhance their self-preservation capabilities. Understood, sir. What then shall we do about Lu Yu? Deploy 2 experts to covertly protect him in the real world. As for the game, let him be. Yes. The informant exited the office. The middle-aged man remained seated, letting out a soft sigh. This information may not remain concealed for long. Aside from those at the pinnacle of power, certain special groups are beginning to perceive the signs. The invasion of humanity by alien entities may have already seeped from the game into reality. Chapter 10. The relentlessly tormented and the indifferent, uncertain of how much time had elapsed, Lu Yu felt the presence of another person lying beside him. He hazily opened his eyes to behold a cherubic face. What the hell? Why are you in my bed? Lu Yu sprang upright from the bed. Chun Zhu blinked innocently. Brother Yu, didn't you ask me to come over to keep you company while you sleep? A chill ran down Lu Yu's spine. Get out, get out. I invited you to stay over, not to share my bed. Well, I thought you had undergone a personality transformation after being cheated on and developed some peculiar preferences. Lu Yu shot Chinju a glare, then glanced at the time. It was 11:30 a.m. He had slept for 9 hours. Calculating the time, the advanced gaming pods should have arrived. Has any delivery come through? Are you referring to those 2 beds? They're in the living room. Beds? What beds? Those are 2 advanced gaming pods. Upon hearing those 5 words, Chinju's expression immediately became animated. Brother Yu, where did you acquire the funds to purchase advanced gaming pods? Have you, perchance, been taken under the wing of a wealthy benefactor? Ah, you have truly endured hardships for the sake of your brothers to acquire superior gaming equipment. Allow me to procure some donkey and beef tendons to replenish your vitality. Who said you were to be provided with an advanced gaming pod? Why then? Do you require 2? Is it not sufficient for me to use one during the day and another at night? Chinjuyu, do you really separate them into day and night usage? Lu Yu, do you still wish to utilize the advanced gaming pod? If so, silence your tongue and hasten to install it. Very well, I shall attend to it at once. Chenju hurriedly dashed off to set up the gaming pod. While Lu Yu opened the Abyss forum, 2 videos prominently featured at the top of the homepage caught his eye, one released by Wu Shijin and another, published only an hour prior. Shocking. Why have the big-eared rabbits in the novice village gone mute? Why are major guilds pleading desperately? Is this a distortion of human nature or a moral decline? Let us unveil the mystery and re-examine the situation. The title of this video is rather extravagant, yet the content is explosive. Greetings, dear friends, I am your favorite Xiaoya. It has been 18 hours since the Abyss server went live. Within this time, some players have already reached level 10, while others are still vying for the big-eared rabbits. Regardless of the stage at which you find yourself in the game, I am confident that every player who has entered the realm has experienced joy. During this period, many noteworthy events have transpired. The most discussed being the mystery surrounding the disappearance of the big-eared rabbits in Novice Village 12315. Within the first hour after the server launch, the only task available in Novice Village 12315 was for the village chief to eliminate the big-eared rabbits, yet not a single one was present. It was not until 2 hours later that the big-eared rabbits gradually appeared outside the village. Many players believe this to be a significant bug within the game. However, according to Xiaoya's observations, it was not a bug, but rather a deliberate act by a certain player. Now, who could this player be? This is the question that piques Xiaoya's curiosity. After gathering and organizing the materials provided by the family, Xiaoya has finally unraveled this mystery. Do not rush. Allow Xiaoya to analyze it slowly. Let us first view a segment of a video. Indeed, this is the current most viral video on the forum. A mysterious figure forcibly interrupting a boss skill and successfully achieving a solo kill. It is not difficult for everyone to discern that this figure's class is the hidden summoner profession, relying on summoned beasts to fight on their behalf. The skill interruption, referred to as divine operation by players, was executed through controlling the summoned beast. Upon closer inspection, one can observe that this boss bears a resemblance to the shallow water crocodile. Indeed, it is the king of Shallow Water Bay, the Shallow Water Crocodile King. Many players can already recall the system announcement regarding the first kill of the Shallow Water Crocodile King. Xiaoya speculates that the gaming ID of this mysterious figure is Qingjio. As we open the leaderboard, we observe that the player ranked first is none other than the esteemed Qingjio, whose profession is designated as the Abyss Summoner. This aligns perfectly with our earlier conjectures. Upon the release of this video, it was immediately highlighted and pinned by the administrators. The news of the enigmatic expert being Qingjio rapidly disseminated throughout all player communities. Soon, players from the 12315 Novice Village began scouring for an Idaho named Qingjio, eager to align themselves with such a prominent figure. Conversely, some voiced their indignation, condemning Qingjio for being unethical, claiming he had monopolized all the novice welfare monsters. Lu Yu had never intentionally concealed his identity. After the descent of the Abyss, relying solely on personal strength made it exceedingly difficult to contend with other races. Thus, it was imperative for him to establish his own faction, and amplifying his renown was the initial step towards that goal. The widespread promotion of his video across the internet was precisely the outcome he desired. In addition to the pinned post, various experts had also shared strategy guides, all of which, without exception, pertained to the Novice Village. For Lu Yu, these were of no utility, as no one understood the game better than he did. He casually browsed through a few posts, pointing out inaccuracies to the authors before promptly closing the forum. Upon opening his phone, he discovered a plethora of transfer records, each merely a sent, accompanied by messages such as, "Master, I'm online. Where are you? Master, you promised to help me reach level 10 within 24 hours. I've paid. You can't go back on your word. Master, where are you? I miss you. Master, I was ambushed. My crocodile tears were lost. What should I do?" Lu Yu regarded these messages with a shiver. Why were the people around him so peculiar? With no means of contacting Lu Yu directly, save for a bank account number, they resorted to communicating through transfer messages. Lu Yu was rendered speechless. You, a scion of wealth, are willing to transfer money yet only send a single cent each time. How shameless. He sighed, deciding to log in. In business, reputation must be upheld. Chenju had already installed 2 advanced gaming pods and infused them with nutrient solution. After greeting him, Lu Yu entered the gaming pod and logged on. Following a flash of white light, Lu Yu found himself in the Novice Village. The first action he undertook was to conceal his game ID. Currently, the Novice Village was bustling with players searching for Qingjio, some sent by large guilds, while others were solitary players seeking assistance. Lu Yu needed to elevate his notoriety, but certainly not at this moment. In the early stages of the game, seizing resources was paramount. With his ID hidden, Lu Yu appeared indistinguishable from an ordinary novice, particularly as he possessed no equipment save for a staff, further emphasizing his guise as a struggling rookie. Passers-by glanced at him briefly before hurrying past. Lu Yu sent a message to the player known as Yushir Wujing. "I am online. Where are you?" A second later, a crying emoji appeared in response. "Boss, I am cornered. They want to strip me of my Shallow Water Crocodile set. Please come to my rescue." He quickly sent his coordinates. Lu Yu wasted no time. While Yushir Wujing's equipment could be looted, his level must not drop. Otherwise, bringing him back up would consume considerable time. Soon, a set of coordinates arrived. Lu Yu glanced at them. The location was in the Sunset Forest, known for its level 7 and 8 goblins, ideal for players around level 8 to grind. It seemed that Yushir Wujing had been targeted while training alone. Without hesitation, Lu Yu dashed towards the Sunset Forest. The goblins within were notorious for their cunning. They possessed a fair degree of intelligence and could launch sneak attacks, leaving unsuspecting players vulnerable. Upon entering the Sunset Forest, Lu Yu found it devoid of other players. He summoned dozens of shallow water crocodiles to clear the path, swiftly overwhelming any goblins in their way, and proceeded without obstruction. He also leveled up to 10, equipping the Crocodile King's leather armor, which significantly enhanced his defense, rendering ordinary wild creatures incapable of breaching it. Its only drawback was its unsightly appearance. However, with such high attributes, even the most unappealing armor became increasingly bearable. After a brisk journey of several minutes, Lu Yu soon neared Yushi Wujing's coordinates. He found the players surrounded by a group of 10 others, led by a player named Ao Tan alongside a striking beauty, Xiao Yi. Lu Yu halted, narrowing his eyes. What a twist of fate. These two were none other than Zhu Xiaochuan and Sun Xiaoyi, the ones who had wronged him. Zhu Xiaochuan commanded a ragtag group, none exceeding level 6, most adorned with little more than basic gear, which was below the average standard for players at this stage. Among them, Zhu Xiaochuan and Sun Xiaoyi stood at level 7. Zhu Xiaochuan wielded a gleaming broadsword, resembling a piece of black iron, while Sun Xiaoyi carried a simple staff. From a distance, Lu Yu heard Zhu Xiaochuan's taunts. Kid, I've surrounded the area. You can't escape. Hand over your shallow water crocodile set if you know what's good for you, or I'll make sure you lose several levels. Otherwise, I'll have my team eliminate you until your account is terminated. Yushi Wujing touched his shining bald head. Incredulous, the foremost expert of the Ao Tian Alliance resorts to such despicable tactics. If you have the guts, come and face me in a duel. Let us see who sends whom to account termination. Zhu Xiaochuan's expression darkened. In terms of skill, 10 Yushi Wuzhangs would not match him. Yet, at that moment, Yushi Wujing, clad in the shallow water crocodile set, had a defense akin to an impenetrable fortress, nearly impossible to breach. Although he had just defeated a peaceful player, causing the emergence of an equipment drop, he too was taken down by the dying player's counterattack. Thus, he summoned all the gold farming players from the 1-2-3-1-5 novice village, intending to employ a strategy of overwhelming numbers to crush this turtle. The shallow water crocodile set was his ultimate objective, for its attributes were undeniably formidable. Observing Zhu Xiaochuan's grim countenance, the player who sought peace grew even more arrogant. Little pig, do you know how I leveled up to level 8 so swiftly? Let me tell you, I am acquainted with the esteemed Qing Jiao, who has promised to elevate me to level 10 within 24 hours. Therefore, even if you manage to reduce me to level 0 today, I will still depart the novice village before you do. Meanwhile, you, having grinded for over 10 hours, have barely reached level 8. Oh, my mistake, you are currently at level 7. Truly, I wonder when you will finally leave the novice village. Zhu Xiaochuan's expression darkened further. The difficulty of leveling up in the abyss exceeded his expectations, and being dragged down a level again ignited his fury. The words of the players seeking peace struck at Zhu Xiaochuan's vulnerabilities. Even if Qing Jiao truly comes to your aid today, I will ensure he meets his demise alongside you, Zhu Xiaochuan declared, gesturing for his subordinates to encircle the opponent. Though reluctant, they steeled themselves and charged forward. Zhu Xiaochuan was an investment made by the Outyin studio, having been brought in at great expense, and on his first day, he had displaced the former leader of the gold farming group, Lu Yu. The owner, in favor of Zhu Xiaochuan, had no qualms about ousting the leader, leaving no room for dissent among the others. Just as a dozen individuals prepared to strike, Lu Yu emerged from behind a tree, casting a spell that landed amidst them. Instantly, they halted their actions, turning to face the source of the magical attack. A young man clad in green leather armor, wielding a black staff, was approaching them with measured steps. The player seeking peace was the first to recognize Lu Yu, exclaiming, Qing Jiao, I am here. The others quickly discerned the identity of the approaching figure. Unable to alter their appearances within the game, they all recognized the young man's visage. In that moment, they were at a loss. Lu Yu had been their former leader and had treated them well. Yet on the other side stood the current dominant force of the Outyin studio, whom they could not afford to offend. Zhu Xiaochuan, upon hearing the words of the players seeking peace, initially felt startled, but as he discerned the newcomer's identity, a smirk crept upon his lips. Here stood someone he had easily displaced, daring to appear before him. Such audacity was laughable. I thought it was someone important. Is this not our former leader Lu? I genuinely believe Qing Jiao was coming. It seems Lu has been thriving since leaving Outyin, even affording a gaming pod. However, I have heard that basic gaming pods are detrimental to one's health, causing muscle stiffness. Would you like me to gift you a high-end gaming pod? It's merely a sum of several tens of thousands. By the way, the pod that Xiaoyi uses was purchased by me. Zhu Xiaochuan spoke as he delivered a sharp slap to Sun Xiaoyi's derriere, eliciting a soft gasp from her as she leaned into him. Brother Chuan, even if you gift him an advanced gaming pod, he lacks the funds for nutritional fluids, she remarked. Indeed, my dear, Zhu Xiaochuan feigned distress. I hear our illustrious young master Lu has not only lost his girlfriend, but also his job. How unfortunate. In a previous life, Lu Yu would have confronted Zhu Xiaochuan with fervor upon hearing such banter. Yet now, his heart stirred not at all. Rather, he felt a hint of amusement. How? He pondered. Had he ever been so devoted to a woman like this? Shaking his head, he had initially planned to settle the score with Zhu Xiaochuan in the secondary main city. However, now that they found themselves in the same novice village. The situation seemed more favorable. Zhu Xiaochuan, I intended to find you in the secondary main city, but since we are both in this novice village, you should not think of escaping. He chuckled. Can a basic gaming pod diminish one's intellect? Not with you. Even in my bare essentials, I could easily overpower you. Lu Yu remained silent, smiling. A subordinate whispered into Zhu Xiaochuan's ear, Boss, his outfit bears a slight resemblance to that of the top-ranked Qingjiu. Zhu Xiaochuan furrowed his brow and assessed Lu Yu again, acknowledging the resemblance. Brother Chuan, how could this fool possibly be the top-ranked Qingjiu? The esteemed Qingjiu does not don such hideous leather armor. Equipment is not easily acquired. Zhu Xiaochuan nodded, regaining his playful demeanor. He struck the subordinate sharply, who had nearly startled him with his comment. Lu Yu, you claim to be here to save the untroubled? Very well, if you can endure 3 minutes under my command, I shall let the untroubled depart. Are you certain? Lu Yu smirked. I, Zhu Xiaochuan, represent the prestige of Outyin Studio. Do you believe everyone is as feeble as you? I allow you the first strike. Lu Yu swung his staff for a basic attack. Zhu Xiaochuan scoffed, confident in his ability to easily evade such a low-level assault. He took a step back, and the attack struck his chest. Instantly, a significant portion of Zhu Xiaochuan's health bar vanished, and his smile faded. More astonishing than the damage was the realization that Lu Yu's attack had not been evaded by his movement. Was it mere coincidence? Lu Yu's expression remained impassive. You think you predicted my attack, but in truth, I anticipated your anticipation. His staff did not falter as he unleashed a flurry of strikes. 3 beams of light shooting towards Zhu Xiaochuan. Zhu Xiaochuan immediately employed an evasive maneuver, attempting to dodge the incoming attacks. However, the 3 strikes, as if guided by fate, all struck his chest. Before he could close the distance, Zhu Xiaochuan found himself below half health. Hastily, he raised his left hand. Green light shimmering as his health began to recover. This is the universal skill, rejuvenation, unleashed by Zhu Xiaochuan, one of the most practical skills attainable in the novice village, capable of restoring 30 health points within 30 seconds. At this moment, Zhu Xiaochuan could no longer afford to be careless. His gaze was filled with fierce determination. Although he was unaware of the sudden enhancement in Lu Yu's skills, he recognized that should he fail to exert his utmost effort, he could very well find himself in dire straits. Without uttering a single word, Zhu Xiaochuan drew a large blade from behind and charged towards Lu Yu. This blade resembled the pincers of a mantis, divided into 2 segments that could rotate 180 degrees at the center. The mantis blade glimmered with a dark sheen, its edge sparkling ominously, clearly a finely crafted piece of black iron weaponry, worth no less than 150,000 yuan. The mantis blade came crashing down towards Lu Yu at an angle. The staff was too fragile. Lu Yu dared not use it for defense and could only retreat swiftly. The tip of the blade grazed across Lu Yu's chest, just barely missing him, and Zhu Xiaochuan's lips curled into a sinister smile as the previously folded blade suddenly unfurled, striking heavily at the position of Lu Yu's heart. Yet, before he could revel in his success, the damage numbers that appeared above Lu Yu's head drained the color from his face. 21. A warrior wielding a black iron weapon had nearly failed to breach the defenses of a mage with a full-force strike. Lu Yu continued to back away, distancing himself from Zhu Xiaochuan. This damaged figure also surprised Lu Yu to some extent. The Crocodile King armor was genuine bronze equipment, a rarity that could only be obtained in the level 2 main city. It was unexpected that Zhu Xiaochuan's attack could still penetrate defenses. Evidently, his mantis blade offered more attack power than anticipated. Still reeling from his astonishment, Zhu Xiaochuan was caught off guard by Lu Yu's imminent counterattack. It was already too late to consider repositioning. Gritting his teeth, Zhu Xiaochuan braved 2 strikes and continued his advance towards Lu Yu. He swung the mantis blade in a wide arc, fully extending the blade segments and doubling his attack range. Lu Yu's mobility was already inferior to Zhu Xiaochuan's, and faced with the fully unfurled mantis blade, he found it even more challenging to evade. Lu Yu had no intention of repositioning. His defenses and health were such that he could withstand Zhu Xiaochuan's strikes for an entire minute without fear. The mantis blade struck at Lu Yu's waist, while simultaneously, the front half of the blade recoiled, unleashing 2 damage values, 52 and 27. The first hit even registered a critical strike. Zhu Xiaochuan landed 2 successive hits, yet he found no joy in his success. The cumulative damage was merely 100 points, barely reducing Lu Yu's health bar by a fraction. If this continued, Zhu Xiaochuan would undoubtedly meet his demise. He retreated rapidly, narrowly evading 2 of Lu Yu's regular attacks. This time, Lu, consider it your victory. I shall depart without further conflict. Zhu Xiaochuan waved his hand, allowing a path for his subordinates to clear as he prepared to exit the fray. Unconcerned with the world, he lifted his chin towards the heavens at a 45-degree angle, a smirk gracing his lips as he ambled past the players encircling him, before swiftly making his way towards Lu Yu. However, several individuals promptly positioned themselves between him and Lu Yu. What is this? Are you having second thoughts now? Unfazed, he drew 2 axes from his back, declaring, I haven't had my fill of combat yet. Zhu Xiaochuan disregarded the confrontation, maintaining his focus on Lu Yu. Lu, Your leather armor must boast considerable defense, doesn't it? He remarked casually, brushing off the dust from his armor. How about lending it to me for a few days? Instantly, his subordinates unsheathed their weapons, adopting aggressive stances. I merely promised to let you go, but I never agreed to let him leave. Huh. The illustrious chief of Outyin Studios stooping to such measures. How you just boasted about representing Outyin's honor. What a farce. Unrestrained fury erupted from Unconcerned. Lu Yu remained unfazed. He understood Zhu Xiaochuan all too well. This individual prioritized his own interests above all else. Initially, Zhu had ousted Lu Yu from Outyin not solely because Lu was Sun Xiaoyi's boyfriend, but more critically due to Lu Yu's esteemed reputation as the leader of the gold farming team within the studio. After Lu Yu's departure, Zhu Xiaochuan systematically eliminated several of Lu Yu's closest allies, consolidating control over the gold farming group. His willingness to allow Unconcerned to depart, while keeping himself behind, was merely a reflection of the superior properties of his leather armor compared to the shallow water crocodile set. Lu Yu turned to Unconcerned, saying, "You should leave first." "No way, boss. I cannot abandon my friend and flee alone," he protested. "If I let you go first." "You can, as there is no danger for me here. Your presence is only a nuisance." "Boss, I mainly wish to stay and record this," Unconcerned replied. As Unconcerned activated his camera and retreated, he realized the immense strength of Lu Yu, especially after witnessing the explosive reception of the previous video. Such high-caliber PK footage was invaluable for study. He had already begun recording during Lu Yu's battle with Zhu Xiaochuan, but regrettably, a crowd had obstructed several critical shots. Now that another opportunity presented itself, he aimed to secure a prime vantage point. Zhu Xiaochuan, however, offered no respite for Unconcerned. With a decisive command, arrows from archers and spells from mages surged towards Lu Yu. Such a barrage made evasion through movement utterly unrealistic. Lu Yu deftly maneuvered, dodging a significant portion of the onslaught, yet still sustained considerable damage. 1-156, miss 1 miss 44-31. The archer's physical assaults failed to breach his defenses, but the mage's spells inflicted considerable pain, reducing Lu Yu's health by 1/5. This could not continue. He needed to eliminate those mages first. Clone technique. A perfect doppelganger materialized beside Lu Yu. The moment the doppelganger appeared, it rushed straight toward the mages in the back row. Zhu Xiaochuan, startled by the sudden emergence of two Lu Yes, quickly regained his composure. He commanded, "Cut to the back, warriors. Block him." Instantly, several players from Outyin dashed out of the formation, positioning themselves before the doppelganger, while Zhu Xiaochuan moved in to entangle Lu Yu's true form. He had already discerned that Lu Yu's health had instantly diminished by half upon the doppelganger's arrival, although he could not eliminate Lu Yu in such a short span. As a top-tier professional player, his immediate instinct was that Lu Yu was executing a diversion. The doppelganger could only follow simple commands. Lu Yu's intention in releasing it was to draw fire. While everyone focused on the doppelganger, Lu Yu's true self would seize the opportunity to eliminate the mages in the back row. Thus, Zhu Xiaochuan swiftly ensnared Lu Yu's true form to prevent him from slipping away. Calm and unperturbed, Lu Yu tackled Zhu Xiaochuan's relentless strikes while simultaneously controlling the doppelganger. The warriors obstructing the doppelganger's path were merely gold farm players with limited skills. With a few agile movements, Lu Yu effortlessly maneuvered past them, bringing the back row mages within his striking range. He wielded his staff, sending forth radiant beams that accurately struck the back row players. With every 2 basic attacks, he easily dispatched one mage. Occasionally, when archers attempted to sacrifice themselves to shield the mages, they were swiftly eliminated by Lu Yu's basic attacks. By the time Zhu Xiaochuan realized the dire situation behind him, more than half of the mages had been sent back to the novice village's fountain. These mages had all attacked Lu Yu, so their deaths would not incur any notoriety. The mages were Zhu Xiaochuan's greatest asset in eliminating Lu Yu. He had initially believed that with warriors to protect them, the mages would be safe. Who would have thought that a mere doppelganger could possess such nimble evasion? With only 2 mages left desperately holding on, and with the gold farming warriors proving unreliable, Zhu Xiaochuan had no choice but to abandon Lu Yu and intervene personally. However, Lu Yu would not grant him such an opportunity. His continuous basic attacks fell before Zhu Xiaochuan, effectively sealing off his escape route. Zhu Xiaochuan dared not withstand Lu Yu's damage. He had witnessed the terrifying power of a fully magic-focused mage, though he would not be instantaneously killed. Enduring a few more hits would only result in a free return to the village. Gritting his teeth in frustration, he could only helplessly watch as the doppelganger dispatched yet another mage. Only Sun Xiaoyi remained among the back row mages. She retreated in a flurry, the doppelganger closing in steadily, its staff delivering attack after attack upon her. As Zhu Xiaochuan's girlfriend, Sun Xiaoyi possessed 2 commendable pieces of equipment, allowing her to withstand 3 of the doppelganger's strikes without perishing. However, her health bar was now reduced to a mere sliver. "Lu Yu, did we not once share a deep love? Are you truly able to slay me with your magic? I cannot bear to do so." Sun Xiaoyi quietly exhaled in relief. This fool remained as easily deceived as ever. Yet, in the next moment, the clone raised its right hand and struck down hard against Sun Xiaoyi's cheek. Slap. 1. Slap. 2. I cannot allow you to perish so easily. Lu Yu continued to deliver slaps, each one siphoning away a fraction of her life points. The successive blows left Sun Xiaoyi bewildered. She could hardly believe that someone she once commanded could now dare to strike her. Lu Yu, have you lost your mind? How dare you strike me? Lu Yu's expression remained stoic, his silence unbroken, yet his hands showed no sign of pausing. Fear began to creep into Sun Xiaoyi's heart. It had taken her several nights to persuade Zhu Xiaochuan to help her level up. If her level dropped now, she could only imagine how long it would take to recover. She struggled to evade his strikes, but Lu Yu's hand found her face with unerring accuracy each time. Her fair cheeks soon swelled, nearly devoid of sensation. Slap. Another strike from Lu Yu, and this time, there was no feeling left. Sun Xiaoyi collapsed, disintegrating into countless fragments. Returning to the spring. You seek death, Lu. Zhu Xiaochuan roared in fury, not out of grief for Sun Xiaoyi's demise, but because without a mage, it would be nearly impossible for him to confront Lu Yu. He turned to face Lu Yu again, but before he could raise his mantis blade, a massive figure loomed behind Lu Yu. Do not rush, it is your turn now. The shallow water crocodile king opened its jaws wide and devoured the astonished Zhu Xiaochuan. Zhu Xiaochuan's body vanished within the creature's maw, and moments later, a mantis blade was regurgitated. Zhu Xiaochuan truly had the misfortune of losing his weapon. Lu Yu picked up the mantis blade, briefly examining its attributes, as he had surmised. Though it was a black iron weapon, both attributes were focused on attack, explaining its ability to penetrate his defenses. Unfortunately, it was a warrior's weapon, unsuitable for his use. Lu Yu promptly placed the mantis blade on the trading platform, setting the auction to be limitless. At this stage, the weapon was undoubtedly in high demand, likely fetching a price of 1 or 200,000 with ease. Lu Yu turned to the remaining members. Are you not leaving? Upon hearing Lu Yu's words, the remaining members of the Ao Tian clan snapped out of their shock and scattered like birds. What a joke. The chief of the studio had been slain. What reason did they have to remain? Were they waiting to be served at a feast? Chapter 12. Goblin Nest. Once everyone had fled, Lu Yu finally turned to the obliviously grinning, carefree figure still filming and kicked him. How could the vice leader of the Champion Alliance allow himself to be gang beaten to a lower level? With so many of them, you couldn't even call for help? Now I must take you back up again. In a tranquil state, the protagonist absent-mindedly stroked his bald head, recalling his father's admonition about his inadequacies and the reluctance to hinder the progress of skilled players within their guild. Truly, he is my biological father, he mused. Come, let us embark on a journey of leveling up. With that, he followed Lu Yu into the depths of the setting sun forest. The two traversed the woodland for several minutes, encountering goblins along the way, all effortlessly dispatched by Lu Yu's shallow water crocodile, which absorbed them into its summoning space. Master, did you not promise to guide me in leveling up? Where are we headed? The protagonist gasped, struggling to keep pace. The shallow water crocodile's armor granted formidable offense and defense, yet surreptitiously diminished his speed. This attribute, while not reflected in the statistics, undeniably existed. The abyss was, after all, a manifestation of reality, which in many respects could not be entirely encapsulated by data. Without glancing back, Lu Yu remarked, you have lost a level. If you wish to ascend to level 10 within 24 hours, you must take a shortcut. A shortcut? Soon, they arrived at the innermost sanctum of the sunset forest, where a cave materialized before them. Lu Yu entered first, with the protagonist closely trailing. A system notification chimed. You have entered the malevolent map, Goblin Nest. Experience points for defeating monsters, 100. Loot drop rate, 100. In this map, every death results in a 100 chance of item loss. Required level, 5. You cannot exit voluntarily until you conquer this map. The protagonist's jaw dropped, clearly astonished by the system's announcement. When Lu Yu turned to look back, the entrance had vanished, replaced by an impenetrable rock wall. What manner of place is this? The penalties for death are terrifying, he exclaimed. Speak less and focus on self-preservation, Lu Yu replied, conjuring a horde of goblins to shield them as they cautiously ventured further into the cave. The malevolent map functioned akin to a game dungeon, with monsters possessing significantly higher levels and intelligence than their ordinary counterparts. Once ensnared in a malevolent map, players could not voluntarily escape. They must either conquer the dungeon or, by sheer fortune, discover a randomly moving exit. Otherwise, they would be doomed to remain trapped. This place was, in essence, a lair for the monsters of the abyss. Following the descent of the abyss, such maps acquired an additional characteristic. Resurrection was impossible. Players slain here would not return to the fountain of life. Their souls would dissipate entirely, signifying a true death. The cave was shrouded in darkness, visibility reduced to less than 10 meters. From the depths echoed the rhythmic dripping of water and faint, haunting screams, sending chills down the spine. The protagonist clutched Lu Yu's chest plate, fearful of straying even a step away, terrified of being abandoned in this foreboding place. Lu Yu directed the goblins to forge a path ahead, summoning several shallow water crocodiles for protection, both in front and behind. The sheer size of the crocodile king rendered it unable to navigate the cave, and as they approached the entrance, Lu Yu withdrew it into his summoning space. After only a few minutes of travel, The foremost goblin suddenly let out a piercing scream as several arrows struck its chest, causing the summoning goblin to fall lifelessly to the ground. Without hesitation, Lu Yu raised his staff, and a radiant beam of light shot forth, illuminating the cavern ahead. On the walls of the cave, several grotesque goblins were drawing their bows, preparing to unleash a second assault. This time, their target was not the leading summoning goblin, but Lu Yu, the one who had just emitted the dazzling light. Lu Yu quickly crouched down as arrows whizzed past his head, all landing harmlessly behind him. A series of explosive impacts erupted above the head of the unassuming companion, reducing his life force by half in an instant. Lu Yu yanked the companion down to the ground, exclaiming, "Can't you dodge? Dodge." The companion's expression was blank, still trapped in the aftermath of fear. Lu Yu rubbed his temples in frustration. This isn't a turn-based game. Meanwhile, the summoning goblin and the swamp crocodile had marked their targets and charged towards the goblin archers. Clearly, the summoning goblin obtained from the forest was no match for the cave-dwelling goblins. Before they could reach the archers, they were utterly annihilated. However, they bought precious time for the swamp crocodiles, which, under Lu Yu's command, simultaneously launched an assault on one of the goblin archers. The powerful jaws of the crocodiles clamped down on the foremost goblin archer, causing it to vanish in an instant. In Lu Yu's summoning space, another goblin armed with a bow and arrows materialized. Goblin Archer, Elite Monster, level, 15 health, 1000 attack, 65 defense, 35 skills, double shot, piercing arrow, truly. These creatures were of the nefarious map, boasting levels equal to that of the Swamp Crocodile King, with an attack power double that of ordinary swamp crocodiles. It was no wonder they could eliminate the regular goblins of the Sunset Forest with ease. Lu Yu summoned this goblin archer directly. If he could conquer this squad of goblin archers, victory in this map would be all but assured. In the meantime, 2 more goblin archers were torn to shreds by the swamp crocodiles. However, the losses for the crocodiles were even greater from the dozen or so summoned earlier. Only a scant few remained, all severely weakened. Lu Yu, unwilling to delay, summoned several more swamp crocodiles to the forefront while also bringing forth the newly acquired goblin archers. With the addition of the goblin archers, the tide of battle shifted considerably. The arrows that struck the swamp crocodiles inflicted great pain, and they caused even more suffering when they hit the goblin archers, as the latter's defenses were lower. 5 minutes later, at the cost of dozens of ordinary goblins and several swamp crocodiles, Lu Yu successfully obtained 7 goblin archers. The situation has taken a favorable turn. With the presence of these 7 goblin archers, the casualties in the ensuing battles are anticipated to diminish. Devoid of ordinary goblins to serve as cannon fodder, the shallow water crocodiles have been positioned at the forefront of the formation, closely followed by the 7 goblin archers. These archers, having long resided in this goblin lair, are accustomed to the darkness and are unaffected by it. Shortly after advancing a few steps, one of the archers suddenly loosed an arrow at the rocky wall above, resulting in a shriek as a goblin, previously scaling the wall, plummeted to the ground, landing less than 3 meters away from Lu Yu. Goblin Assassin, elite level creature, level, 15 skills, stealth, backstab. Another elite goblin emerges. Had it not been for the timely observation of the archer, this goblin assassin would have nearly succeeded in its ambush. As the goblin assassin touched down, several shallow water crocodiles lunged towards it. In an instant, one crocodile was torn to shreds, vanishing in place, while the goblin assassin, retaining half of its vitality, activated its stealth ability and melted into the shadows. The remaining archers refrained from attacking the goblin assassin and instead drew their bows, releasing arrows towards the upper rocky wall. Instantly, cries of agony erupted, and more goblin assassins fell to the ground. Lu Yu quickly cast a sphere of light, illuminating the cavern, revealing a multitude of goblin figures on the cliffside, easily numbering in the hundreds. He inhaled sharply, suddenly questioning whether he had allowed himself to become a bit overconfident. Chapter 13. Goblin assassins continued to be shot down, and upon landing, they immediately re-entered a stealth state. Lu Yu persistently unleashed spheres of light, dispelling the darkness of the cave to provide visibility for the shallow water crocodiles. These spheres of light, though his ordinary attack, emitted a faint glow. However, due to the overwhelming darkness of the cave, they could be used for illumination. Yet, this basic attack illuminated only the dark and could not reveal the goblin assassins in their stealth state. Lu Yu remained vigilant, summoning more shallow water crocodiles to guard his vicinity, creating an impenetrable barrier around himself. Should any goblin assassin attempt to approach, it would inevitably tread upon a crocodile. Realizing that a stealthy ambush was no longer viable, the goblin assassins swiftly altered their strategy, launching attacks against the shallow water crocodiles. Maintaining their stealth, they would wait for the opportune moment to execute a backstab, claiming the lives of several crocodiles, only to vanish back into the darkness. The attack speed of the shallow water crocodiles paled in comparison to that of the goblin assassins, often allowing an assassin to strike first, severely wounding a crocodile before the latter could retaliate. Lu Yu furrowed his brow. Although the number of shallow water crocodiles in his domain was substantial, they could not withstand such attrition indefinitely. Up to this point, he had yet to eliminate a single goblin assassin. If this situation persists, it is likely that the goblin assassins here will exhaust all of his shallow water crocodiles. And this is merely the outermost perimeter of the goblin lair. It cannot continue like this. Lu Yu activated the skill, clone technique, instantly having his health and mana, as a perfect replica appeared beside him. Now, should a goblin assassin approach, a single combo could whisk Lu Yu away. Wushi Wuzheng promptly handed Lu Yu several potions, saying, "Boss, the success of navigating this map relies entirely on you." Basic life potion description. Consuming it instantly restores 200 health points, and for the next 30 seconds, restores 10 health points per second. Cooldown time, 60 seconds. Such potions are sold for 10 gold coins each in the Novice Village shop. Lu Yu had only managed to gather a modest 3-digit sum after defeating the Novice Big Ear Rabbit and 2 shallow water crocodiles. Yet, Wushi Wuzheng generously offered a life potion worth 50 gold coins. This lad must have exchanged currency for gold. Having wealth certainly has its advantages. Lu Yu, not one to be coy, accepted the potion and drank it, feeling a significant surge in health. He directed his clone to advance. From the attacks of the goblins thus far, it was evident that they possessed a measure of intelligence, adept at evading summons and targeting the summoner first. However, Lu Yu's goblin archer had seen through their ruse, preventing a successful assassination. Now he actively sent his clone forth, hoping to draw a few goblin assassins into action. The clone proceeded cautiously, swiftly surpassing the defenses of the shallow water crocodiles and advancing to the forefront. The moment the clone stepped beyond the protection of the shallow water crocodiles, a flurry of daggers glinted in the darkness. Although these goblin assassins displayed some intelligence, as wild creatures of the Novice Village, their wits were evidently limited. This was the moment Lu Yu had anticipated, as the goblin assassins made their move. The surrounding shallow water crocodiles opened their jaws wide, and arrows from the goblin archers flew forth. Bite, double shot. Armor-piercing arrow, a cascade of damage erupted from the darkness. As Lu Yu's clone, along with 5 or 6 goblin assassins, shattered into fragments, only to reappear in Lu Yu's summoning space. The goblin assassins shared similar dimensions with the goblin archers, yet they possessed the nauseating skill, stealth. Once in stealth mode, they would lose their attack target and could only wait until a goblin assassin actively attacked to reveal its position. Lu Yu summoned 6 goblin assassins and instructed them to enter stealth mode, lying in wait in the shadows for the opportune moment to strike. Stealth mode is time-limited. The moment the goblin assassins emerge from stealth, it becomes their chance to attack. As time ticked away, goblin assassins continuously launched assaults against the shallow water crocodiles, prompting Lu Yu to remain vigilant, ready to summon new shallow water crocodiles to shield him from harm. In just a matter of minutes, Lu Yu had already lost over 100 shallow water crocodiles. However, concurrently, his summoning space had yielded more than a dozen goblin assassins, the fruits of the earlier actions taken by 6 stealthy assassins. Lu Yu summoned all the goblin assassins and dispatched them forth, within the confines of the narrow cave. The sounds of knives slicing through the air and the intermittent cries of anguish could frequently be heard. Nonetheless, Lu Yu was dissatisfied with the pace of his monster slaying. In merely a few minutes, his experience had only increased by 3, which bore no distinction from grinding monsters outside, yet he was exposed to far greater risks. A change in strategy was imperative. As soon as the cooldown for shadow clone technique elapsed, Lu Yu replicated another clone. This time, he commanded the clone to halt at the periphery of the shallow water crocodile's protective range, then instructed both the crocodiles and goblin archers to launch simultaneous assaults on the clone's position. Indeed, a flurry of damage appeared out of thin air, forcing several goblin assassins to abandon their stealth. Instead of retreating, those under attack opted to strike at the clone directly. Lu Yu swiftly maneuvered the clone to retreat, while simultaneously directing the shallow water crocodiles to intercept the goblin assassin's onslaught. The goblin archers unleashed a barrage of arrows, each volley claiming 1 or 2 goblin assassins. In the blink of an eye, all the goblin assassins had been transformed into Lu Yu's summoned minions. The clone had only sustained a minor cut from a dagger, maintaining a relatively healthy state, which brought Lu Yu a sense of relief. No matter how many times, these goblins could not discern the difference between the original and the clone. As long as the clone persisted, it served as bait, continuously luring the goblin assassins into attack. Within merely a few minutes, 4 or 5 waves of ambushing goblin assassins were obliterated, until the clone could no longer endure and dissipated after sustaining another blow. Without hesitation, Lu Yu employed shadow clone technique, once more, summoning yet another identical clone. He replicated his previous strategy, relentlessly claiming the lives of goblins, and gradually, hundreds of goblin assassins became his summoned entities. After dispatching one more goblin assassin, his peaceful persona shone with a white light, signaling his return to level 7. Achieving a level within less than an hour in the abyss was nothing short of terrifying. Lu Yu directed the clone to move beyond the shallow water crocodile's protective circle, and after a few minutes of waiting, he remained unscathed. It appeared that the goblin assassins in the vicinity had been thoroughly eradicated. Lu Yu retracted the clone and pressed onward. He unleashed the hundreds of goblin assassins, their stealthy forms paving the way ahead, ensuring a significantly safer passage. The two continued forward for over half an hour, encountering several goblin archers and assassins along the way, all of which Lu Yu dispatched with ease. Lu Yu had already ascended to level 10, while the peaceful entity reached level 8, merely a step away from level 9. Suddenly, the enigmatic figure paused in their tracks. "My friend, have you heard any sounds?" Lu Yu also came to a halt. From the depths of the cave, a faint sound seemed to echo. It was not the guttural utterance of goblins, but rather the anguished cries of a human girl. Chapter 14. The monstrous goblin. The cries flitted in and out of the two men's ears. Lu Yu endeavored to locate the source of the sound, straining to listen, yet it seemed to vanish once more. Could this be a hidden quest? The enigmatic figure speculated with a hint of excitement. Lu Yu nodded. The conjecture held merit. Yet goblins were notoriously cunning, and it could very well be a trap. Nevertheless, he resolved to investigate. The two moved forward, soon encountering two tunnels, one on the left and one on the right. All summoned goblin assassins gathered here, hesitating to choose a path without Lu Yu's guidance. "Which way should we go?" "Feel the walls on both sides and discern any differences," Lu Yu instructed, with a spring in his step. The enigmatic figure touched the left wall and then hurried to the right. "The left wall feels more damp," he reported. "Which path do you suggest we take?" "Let us proceed left," he replied, though uncertainty laced his voice. Lu Yu nodded, leaving a few summoned goblin assassins behind, and led the remaining ones into the left tunnel. As they stepped inside, a putrid, acrid scent assaulted their senses. It was reminiscent of a summer's day, surrounded by 100 unwashed men, their sweat-soaked bodies suffocating in close quarters, rendering each breath a torment. Lu Yu pinched his nose, quickening his pace to escape this foul passage. Yet, as they ventured deeper, the stench intensified. "Perhaps we should explore the other tunnel," the enigmatic figure suggested, his face flushed with discomfort. Lu Yu shook his head, suppressing his nausea as he pressed onward. Given the goblin's nature, this environment was likely to harbor more formidable specimens. The cavern was expansive, towering high enough for 3 or 4 men to stand upright, accommodating 7 or 8 individuals side by side. Lu Yu mused that even a shallow water crocodile would be able to navigate through here. Suddenly, a piercing scream erupted from the cavern's depths, a woman's voice indeed. Lu Yu quickened his steps, soon arriving at a vast chamber. 3 walls were sheer rock, while the direction from which he had come was the only exit. The sight that greeted him made his stomach churn. The ground was strewn with straw mats, upon which several girls were bound, their hands tied. Surrounding them were goblin offspring, their juvenile forms crawling over the girls, biting and sucking at their bodies incessantly. The anguished cries emanated from one of the young girls, who lay sprawled on the ground with her legs splayed apart, a grotesque green head emerging from her loins. This was a breeding ground for goblins, who were using human women as vessels for reproduction. In an unyielding state, yet armed with an axe, one struck mercilessly at the goblin offspring. Although this was merely a game, it was challenging for any normal human to refrain from intervening upon witnessing such a scene. Moreover, it would not be long before the events here transformed into a grim reality. Lu Yu had also commanded the summoned goblin assassins to execute their targets. The goblin species, upon birth, possessed considerable combat prowess, yet they were no match for their fully grown counterparts. The cavern became a one-sided massacre, with the summoned goblins showing no mercy as the cries of goblin infants filled the air. Soon, hundreds of these young goblins were drawn into Lu Yu's summoning space. Their attributes were slightly superior to those of the large-eared rabbits, yet the experience points awarded remained equivalent to those of ordinary goblins. Having reached level 10, Lu Yu could not gain experience without departing from the novice village. All the experience was monopolized by the unyielding champion, who had now ascended to level 9. Lu Yu opened the leaderboard, which displayed the rankings of players in the 1-2-3-1-5 novice village. 1. Crazy Dragon, Dragon Soul, level 10-2. Clear Wine, level 10-3. Crazy Dragon, Gun God, level 9-4. Champion, Unyielding, level 9-5. Pure Youth, level 9-6. Crazy Dragon, Dragon Sniper, level 9-7. Champion, First, level 9-8. Champion, Dominator, level 8-9. Proud Sky, Howling River, level 8. The leaderboard was predominantly occupied by various guilds, as they organized teams to ensure their core players leveled up first. For solo players, without exceptional opportunities, it was exceedingly difficult to catch up to the levels of the guild's core members. In the early stages of the game, the Crazy Dragon Guild was a formidable force. However, their guild leader had perished too soon. The Dragon Soul, having reached level 10 without leaving the novice village, was likely stuck due to not having defeated the village chief. Lu Yu couldn't help but shake his head. Defeating the village chief was the first hurdle set by Abyss for all players. While it was certain that many players had reached level 10 across the server, the system had yet to announce anyone entering the secondary main city, suggesting that they were all stymied by the village chief challenge. To Lu Yu's surprise, Zhu Xiaochuan had also made it onto the leaderboard. After being slain by him once, the fellow must have sought assistance for frantic leveling. There was no rush. If he could be killed once, he could be killed again. As long as Lu Yu remained in the novice village, Zhu Xiaochuan would not gain entry into the secondary main city. The Unyielding Champion Alliance also had several members listed. Lu Yu turned to Unyielding, questioning why he did not have his allies assist him, instead opting to pay Lu Yu for leveling support. Unperturbed, he rubbed his bald head and let out a wry smile, recalling his father's words about his lackluster skills, which he deemed a waste of time and emphasized the preciousness of the game's initial moments. Lu Yu clicked his tongue, recognizing the wisdom of a father-esque critique. Why are there no adult goblins watching over this goblin nursery? He pondered, furrowing his brow at the unsettling absence of guardians in such a significant location. Just as Lu Yu was lost in thought, he sensed the inexplicable disappearance of several summoned goblin assassins that had been stationed at the fork in the cave. Suddenly, deep, guttural roars echoed from the cave's entrance. Startled, he halted his actions. What is that? He inquired. Lu Yu refrained from responding and summoned the Swamp Crocodile King instead. Was there any need to question what it was? Having slain a nest of their young, the goblins would undoubtedly seek vengeance. With only one exit, escape was impossible. Fortunately, the spacious surroundings allowed the Swamp Crocodile King to unleash its might. The sound of heavy footsteps drew nearer, causing the human girls to recall something dreadful, prompting them to scurry into the corners, trembling in fear. Unperturbed tightened his grip on his dual axes, his gaze fixed firmly on the cave's entrance, prepared for battle at any moment. Lu Yu admonished, "Why are you standing so close? Have you killed a few younglings and now think you're invincible? Get back and hide." "Understood, boss," Unperturbed replied without hesitation, scampering behind Lu Yu. Lu Yu cast a sidelong glance at him, realizing that if this fool perished here, it would render their efforts futile for the entire day. Just as Unperturbed returned, 3 towering green figures, each over 3 meters tall, emerged at the cave's entrance. Giant Goblin, Abyss-level monster, level 17. Description: Guardians of the Goblin Young. They are also the fathers of most goblins, deeply loving their offspring and never proactively attacking them. However, if anyone dares to harm their children, they will face the full brunt of their wrath. Lu Yu's expression turned grave. He had not anticipated encountering an Abyss-level monster, and it seemed they were in for a tough battle. Chapter 15: Bloodthirsty State. Abyss-level monsters, often referred to as mini-bosses, possess attributes directly comparable to those of bosses of the same level, with the main distinction being that they lack the exclusive skills of bosses, such as invincible body and death recovery. Aside from that, their attributes are quite similar to those of bosses. More critically, while there is typically only one boss, multiple Abyss-level wild monsters can exist simultaneously. Thus, players in the past preferred to confront high-level bosses over Abyss-level monsters. And now, 3 enraged Abyss-level giant goblins stood before Lu Yu. They were initially resting in the cave's far side when the sudden, anguished cries of their offspring pierced the air, prompting an immediate rush towards the source. To their horror, they discovered their child had vanished without a trace, replaced instead by 2 humans and a formidable crocodile. The colossal goblin, consumed by rage, found nothing more infuriating than the disappearance of their young. Armed with wooden clubs and emitting furious roars, they charged at Lu Yu. The swamp crocodile positioned itself in front of Lu Yu and unleashed its skill, Death Roll. Its massive form pressed down upon each goblin, and a flurry of damage notifications appeared above the goblins' heads. 201, 203, 220. Yet, this damage amounted to little more than a mere tickle for the colossal goblin. Before the swamp crocodile could regain its footing, one goblin seized its tail, another restrained its jaws, while the last swung its club with ferocity, striking its back. 307, 606. Each blow inflicted substantial damage, leading to a loss of 5 health points for the swamp crocodile in mere seconds. At that moment, the stealthy goblin assassins sprang into action, their silhouettes materializing from thin air, targeting the backs of the colossal goblins and executing the skill, Backstab. A flurry of blades flashed, inflicting over 1,000 points of health loss. In pain, the colossal goblin retaliated, sweeping its club horizontally, resulting in the immediate demise of several goblin assassins who failed to retreat in time. However, the swamp crocodile finally broke free from its entrapment, opening its jaws wide to target the goblin with the lowest health, unleashing its skill, Blood Gulp. It clamped down fiercely on the goblin's arm, eliciting a pained howl as a substantial chunk of flesh was torn away, revealing ghastly white bone beneath, causing the wooden club to fall from its grasp. Upon hearing their companion's anguished cry, the other 2 colossal goblins abandoned their pursuit of the goblin assassins, redirecting their wooden clubs towards the swamp crocodile. This time, the crocodile king chose not to linger. Under Lu Yu's command, it turned to flee. However, Lu Yu overestimated the crocodile king's speed. It evaded the first goblin's club, only to be struck forcefully by the second. The goblin that had just been bitten retrieved its club and roared as it struck the crocodile king's back. Witnessing the crocodile being besieged once more, Lu Yu had no choice but to instruct the goblin assassins to continue their ambush. Yet this time, the colossal goblins were evidently on guard. As the goblin assassins approached, one goblin suddenly spun around, swinging its club in a wide arc. The closest goblin assassin had no time to evade, resulting in their grievous injuries. Lu Yu's expression darkened. Battling these cunning creatures was perilous, as a single misstep could lead to disaster. Nevertheless, the crocodile king had to be saved, for it was the only summoned creature in Lu Yu's possession capable of withstanding the onslaught of the colossal goblins. He commanded the goblin assassins to persist in their assault while summoning all remaining swamp crocodiles. Although the level of the swamp crocodiles was insufficient, the adage mini ants can kill an elephant applied here. Even if they could merely absorb damage once, it would afford the swamp crocodile king a moment of reprieve. The swamp crocodiles surged forward, predictably met with instant death at the hands of the colossal goblins, each dispatched with a single blow. However, with over 100 swamp crocodiles, the 3 colossal goblins found themselves unable to eliminate them all at once. Many of the swamp crocodiles seized the opportunity amidst the goblins' onslaught, closing the distance to begin their savage bites. In mere moments, the colossal goblins were besieged by a multitude of swamp crocodiles, greatly hampering their mobility. The swamp crocodile king broke free from its restraints, yet its health had plummeted below 50. Lu Yu could not muster any joy, for thus far, the colossal goblins had not unleashed a single skill. Indeed, the next moment, all 3 colossal goblins leaped high into the air, then crashed down with tremendous force. The surrounding swamp crocodiles were instantly crushed into pulp, while those clinging to their forms were sent flying. Even Lu Yu, observing from a distance of several meters, stumbled from the shock. System notification: you have suffered damage from the skill, Tremor of the Tiger, health 56. This was a group skill, and Lu Yu instantly lost 80 swamp crocodiles. The remaining few were left in a severely weakened state, forcing the stealthy goblin assassins to abandon their concealment. Although this skill was formidable, the colossal goblins were also affected by the recoil, entering a brief state of dizziness. Lu Yu swiftly commanded all summoned creatures to collectively assault the colossal goblin that had lost half an arm to the attacks. If they could eliminate even one, there remained a glimmer of hope. Under the relentless barrage of the summoned beings, the health of this colossal goblin finally dipped below 20, allowing it to recover from its dazed state. System notification: the colossal goblin senses the threat of death and enters a bloodthirsty state, increasing its attack power by 50, attack speed by 100, and decreasing its defense by 50, lasting 1 minute. Damn it, how can we fight now? Lu Yu inwardly cursed. The colossal goblin already dispatched summoned creatures with ease. Now, with increased attack and doubled speed, the damage became even more terrifying. The reduction of 50 in defense proved meaningless, as no summoned creature could close the distance to inflict damage. The combined damage from the dozen goblin archers would not suffice to eliminate this colossal goblin within a minute. In its bloodthirsty state, the colossal goblin discarded its wooden club, seizing the tail of the swamp crocodile king with both hands. With a thunderous roar, it swung the creature, which was 2 to 3 times its size, into the air. The crocodile king, caught off guard and lifted from the ground, flailed its limbs wildly in desperation. But to no avail. The colossal goblin swung the shallow water crocodile king in a circular motion, not only sending the ambushing goblin assassins flying, but also intercepting the arrows of the goblin archers. All attacks directed at the colossal goblin were absorbed by the shallow water crocodile king. Ultimately, with a tremendous effort, the colossal goblin flung the crocodile king away, crashing it against the rocky wall. Instantly, debris tumbled within the cavern. The health bar of the shallow water crocodile king vanished in an instant, and even the skill, Death Recovery, failed to activate, leading to its demise from the fall. In its place lay a piece of crocodile skin and a chunk of crocodile meat. Gulping, the unassuming individual hiding behind Lu Yu witnessed the crocodile king's might, astonished that it was so effortlessly ravaged by the colossal goblin, akin to a mere chick. The other 2 colossal goblins finally shook off their daze and, without the crocodile king's interference, advanced step by step towards Lu Yu, each footfall causing the stones in the cavern to tremble. At this moment, Lu Yu was left with only a few half-health goblin assassins and the goblin archers nearby, utterly incapable of halting the colossal goblins. The goblin archers were frantically firing, yet the bloodthirsty colossal goblin still maintained over 10 health points. Regardless of its efficacy, time needed to be bought for the archers. The goblin assassins stood resolutely in front of the archers, but were easily swatted away by the colossal goblin. Lu Yu glanced towards his summoning space, where several hundred goblin hatchlings awaited. Even combined, they would likely withstand no more than 10 seconds. However, every second was crucial. Each moment of output increased their odds. If they could eliminate the severely weakened colossal goblin, there remained a glimmer of hope to continue the battle. Resolutely, Lu Yu summoned all the goblin hatchlings, positioning them before the goblin archers. The instant the hatchlings appeared, the 3 colossal goblins abruptly halted. Chapter 16. A disappointment. The 3 colossal goblins and Lu Yu were momentarily stunned. The colossal goblins, confronted by the hatchlings, stood bewildered, their feet raised as they attempted to advance, but found no purchase, resulting in furious roars of frustration. Lu Yu, observing the colossal goblins' reluctance to step on the hatchlings, fell into contemplation. The description of the colossal goblins seemed to indicate that they would never willingly attack the young. Did this imply that neither wild goblin hatchlings nor his summoned ones would be harmed by the colossal goblins? With this thought, Lu Yu promptly commanded the hatchlings to attack the colossal goblins. Indeed, as the hatchlings advanced, the colossal goblins began to retreat. Their massive feet stomped upon the ground, yet never fell upon the hatchlings. Lu Yu smacked his forehead, realizing how he had overlooked this trait. Had he discovered it sooner, the struggle would have been far less arduous. Lu Yu promptly commanded all the young goblins to attack, swiftly cornering the colossal goblins. Their thighs were marred by the scratches of the young goblins, yet they found themselves utterly powerless to retaliate. One of the giant goblins attempted to gently push away the young goblins with its hand, but the sheer number of them was overwhelming. As soon as it managed to push a few aside, more immediately surged forth. Several young goblins had even begun to climb onto the giant goblin's body, incessantly biting with their teeth, which rendered the three colossal goblins paralyzed with fear, reduced to low growls in place. Particularly the one that had recently entered a bloodthirsty state. Now found its frenzy dissipated, succumbing to a state of weakness, with both defenses and speed significantly diminished, leaving it in a state of utter panic amidst the young goblin's counterattack. What a splendid opportunity. Although the young goblins struggled to breach the defenses of the giant goblin, most of their attacks resulted in misses. However, they successfully immobilized the three colossal goblins. This, in turn, created an advantageous opening for the goblin archers to unleash their volleys. After several rounds of concentrated fire, the weakened giant goblin finally succumbed, and before it fell, it gently pushed away the young goblins beside it, preventing its heavy body from crushing them. Its form shattered into fragments, entering Lu Yu's summoning space, where he could finally discern its attributes. Giant goblin, abyss-level monster, level, 17 health, 25,000 attack, 150 defense, 100 expand for more, skills, roar of the tiger. Bloodthirst description, truly a formidable abyss-level creature. Its attributes far surpass those of the shallow water crocodile king, explaining its ability to dominate it with ease. Instead of summoning this giant goblin, Lu Yu chose to maintain the current momentum, directing the young goblins to encircle the remaining two colossal goblins. While the goblin archers focused on dealing damage, the archers, despite their efforts, could only marginally pierce the defenses of the giant goblins, each arrow inflicting a meager 10-odd points of damage. Yet, Lu Yu remained unperturbed. The experience from abyss-level monsters was immensely rewarding, especially since he was facing foes 7 levels higher, promising even greater rewards. Having just vanquished a giant goblin, he received over 20 experience points without any contention, and he was confident that eliminating the remaining 2 would elevate him to level 10. With only 22 hours since the server's launch, he was certain that he could elevate his character to level 10 within 24 hours. At that moment, Lu Yu received a system announcement. System announcement. Congratulations to player Pure-Hearted Youth for being the first to enter the secondary main city, earning level 1, reputation points, 10,000. Luck, 1. This announcement is made in encouragement, hoping for the continued efforts of other players. Lu Yu was momentarily taken aback. Pure-Hearted Youth? He had never heard this name in his previous life, nor was there any record of a player successfully entering the secondary main city within 24 hours. This individual seemed to be in the same novice village as him. He had even noticed this refined name on the leaderboard moments ago. Did the gentle flutter of this butterfly's wings truly stir a tempest? Although Lu Yu did not secure the coveted position of being the first to enter the secondary main city, he remained unperturbed. That position was within his grasp whenever he desired it. However, having endured the tribulations of the racial wars, he understood that the collective prowess of a group holds greater sway over the fate of a race than individual valor. Having been reborn, Lu Yu's ambitions extended beyond mere vengeance. Under the relentless onslaught of the goblin archers, the life force of the 2 colossal goblins dwindled below 20. They entered a frenzied state of bloodlust, yet the presence of goblin offspring surrounding them rendered their movements nearly impossible, leaving them in a fit of impotent rage. Unable to confront Lu Yu and the archers, once their bloodlust waned, the 2 gigantic goblins succumbed to a state of weakness and were swiftly dispatched to Lu Yu's summoning space. The entity known as At Peace with the World ascended to level 10. Lu Yu summoned back the goblin offspring and approached the site of the colossal goblin's demise, where 6 gold coins and a map lay scattered, devoid of any equipment drops. Lu Yu clicked his tongue, lamenting the abyssal drop rate, which remained persistently low. He stowed all items in his backpack. The map depicted the goblin lair, guiding players toward an exit. Upon examining the map, he noted that they had explored less than 30% of the lair, and the boss's cavern remained uncharted. Nevertheless, Lu Yu had no intention of further exploration. This was merely an evil map within a novice village. Although the resources were reasonably abundant, they could not compare to those in the secondary main city. Both he and At Peace with the World had attained level 10, qualifying them to challenge the village chief and depart from the novice village, thus rendering further time spent here unnecessary. As for the boss, Lu Yu lacked complete confidence in overcoming it, given the map's difficulty. The goblin boss was likely a level 20 creature, and 3 level 17 abyssal colossal goblins might not suffice to contend with it. Naturally, At Peace with the World deferred to Lu Yu's guidance and accompanied him toward the exit. Along the way, the goblin assassins and archers they encountered fell to the might of the colossal goblins summoned by Lu Yu. They soon emerged from the goblin lair and returned to the novice village. At Peace with the World immediately set off to challenge the village chief, while Lu Yu intended to seek out the old village head to complete his quest. In truth, Lu Yu was reluctant to undertake this extra journey. But the system mandated that once one departed from the novice village, returning was not an option. Similarly, if any quests remained uncompleted in the novice village, one could not leave. As Lu Yu turned into the alley where the old village head resided, he spotted a middle-aged woman vociferously berating the old man at his doorstep. "You old codger, how dare you steal my undergarments? Just watch. I'll burn down your house today." Chapter 17. How could I possibly do such a thing? What was happening? Upon returning, he was met with such explosive news, leaving Lu Yu momentarily stunned. Isn't the old village chief on the brink of death? I recall that when he was about to depart, his demeanor resembled that of a man struggling to draw his last breath. I never anticipated he would seize the opportunity to pilfer a woman's undergarments. Upon noticing Lu Yu's approach, the woman spat disdainfully towards the old chief's thatched hut before swaying her hips away. Lu Yu entered the courtyard, where the old chief remained reclined on his dilapidated wicker chair, wearing an expression of melancholy. However, upon spotting Lu Yu, he instantly perked up. "Adventurer, you have finally returned. I was on the verge of taking my last breath. Did you bring the meat and hide of the shallow water crocodile?" Lu Yu cast a sidelong glance at the old rascal, bemused by his theatricality. As he retrieved the crocodile's skin and flesh from his backpack, he remarked, "Weren't you just stealing a woman's undergarment? You hardly seem like one about to expire." The old chief immediately adopted a righteous facade. "I did not steal her undergarments. I merely intended to borrow them, but mistakenly took the wrong pair. What business does an old man have borrowing a woman's undergarment? Oh, that's of no consequence." The old chief, unperturbed, swiftly diverted the conversation. "Adventurer, I detect the scent of shallow water crocodile king meat on you. Did you slay the crocodile king?" Lu Yu nodded. "This is splendid. Might you part with some of the crocodile king's meat? I could offer you a doubled reward." Lu Yu promptly produced a piece of crocodile king meat and handed it to the old chief, deeming it of no use to himself. System notification. You have completed the old chief's task, earning 10 experience points and 1,000 reputation. System notification. Due to reaching level 10 and remaining in the novice village, you are ineligible for experience rewards. Lu Yu gazed at the meager rewards and then at the old chief, taking a deep breath as he stifled the urge to summon the colossal goblin and deliver a sound thrashing to this old scoundrel. "After all my efforts, this is all I receive, and it's merely the doubled amount. Adventurer, you have successfully completed my first trial and may proceed to the next task. I require." Lu Yu, not waiting for the old chief to finish, turned on his heel and walked away. With such paltry rewards, he expects me to work for him? He must be dreaming. It's no wonder the villagers dismissed him. Allowing him to remain in the village is a testament to the simplicity of its folk. "Adventurer, you cannot leave the novice village without completing my series of tasks." Lu Yu glanced down at his task list, confirming that one quest remained unfinished. This old man truly is cunning. With a resigned demeanor, Lu Yu inquired, "What other tasks do you have? Speak swiftly." Upon seeing Lu Yu return, the old chief grinned widely, revealing his two large yellowed teeth while squinting his eyes into slits. "Adventurer, I require the undergarments of Widow Wong from the village." System notification. The old village chief has assigned you a task. Acquire the intimate garments of Widow Wong from the novice village numbered 12315 and return them to the old village chief. Task reward. Unknown. Task penalty. Unknown. Will you accept? Without a moment's hesitation, Lu Yu turned and departed. This lecherous old man, unable to procure the garments himself, sought to employ me as a thief. Am I the kind of person who would stoop to such depths? Even if I remain trapped in this novice village today, even if I were to perish here, I shall not accept your task. Adventurer, where do you intend to go? I have yet to complete the task I assigned to you. Lu Yu did not look back as he opened the courtyard door. This time, the reward is precisely what you require. Lu Yu strode out of the courtyard, forcefully slamming the door behind him. Should you complete my series of tasks, I can provide you with a skill book. Lu Yu took long strides forward. This skill will enable you to restore the health of your summoned creatures. System notification. The old village chief has presented you with a special reward, restoration technique. Acquisition condition. Complete the series of tasks assigned by the old village chief. Lu Yu halted, turned around, and re-entered the courtyard. Old village chief, where's Widow Wong's home? I shall go there at once. The old village chief smiled with satisfaction. Young man, do not be so hasty. Widow Wong always keeps her garments close at hand, making them quite difficult to steal. Rest assured, old village chief, if I cannot steal them, I can always resort to force. The old village chief scrutinized Lu Yu. You cannot best Widow Wong in a confrontation. What? I cannot defeat Widow Wong. While NPCs tend to be rather formidable, this is merely a novice village. The claim that I cannot conquer Widow Wong does not sit well with Lu Yu. Adventurer, we must employ cunning. I have a foolproof plan. I have heard that Widow Wong is involved with the tavern keeper, Lier. Go seek out Lier and tell him that Widow Wong sent you to purchase a barrel of wine. And then slip this into the wine before delivering it to her. As the old village chief spoke, he produced a pouch of white powder from his bosom. This is a sleeping powder. Once Widow Wong consumes the wine, she will surely fall into a deep slumber, at which point you can procure the garments. Lu Yu gazed at the sleeping powder in the old village chief's hand, then scrutinized the old man himself. setting aside the village's convoluted relationships. Is this old village chief truly a respectable figure? He even possesses sleeping powder. Nevertheless, Lu Yu accepted it without protest and stowed it in his backpack. Completing the task without resorting to violence is, of course, the ideal outcome. Lu Yu wished to avoid conflict with the villagers, should he provoke the village chief. The challenge of leaving the novice village might compel that old man to unleash his full strength. Leaving the old village chief's home, Lu Yu arrived at the village tavern. There were scarcely any players present. The beverages in the game could provide players with various attribute enhancements, yet their prices were far from modest. During the novice phase, players spent nearly all their coins on potions, leaving little for indulgent drinks. Lu Yu approached the listless tavern keeper, Li Er, who sat at the counter. The bartender. Wang's widow has entrusted me with the task of purchasing wine. Upon hearing the name Wang's widow, Li Er's demeanor instantly brightened. His gaze laden with significance as he looked at Lu Yu. What type of wine does the widow desire? What kind? This must be a coded message. Yet, the old village chief had never mentioned such a thing. Indeed, that old man is utterly unreliable. Well, what wines do you have? I have 10-year aged daughter's red, 30-year aged night fragrance, and 50-year aged drunken immortal, all of which I have personally brewed. 50-year aged brew, you say? Do you even possess 50 years of life experience? However, if two lovers were to exchange secret messages, the name night fragrance seems most plausible. Wang's widow requests a jar of 30-year aged night fragrance. Upon hearing Lu Yu's response, Li Er's eyes indeed sparkled with realization. Very well, esteemed guest. Here is a jar of 30-year aged night fragrance for you. At the price of 50 gold coins. Lu Yu, you two are having an affair and expect me to foot the bill? And what kind of wine costs 50 gold coins per jar? That could purchase 5 bottles of red potion. At this moment, Lu Yu felt an overwhelming urge to drop the jar and leave. Yet, for the sake of the mission, he endured. He glanced at his balance, which amounted to 61 gold coins. Thankfully, it was sufficient. After completing the transaction, Lu Yu, amidst Li Er's invitation to return, clutched the jar and exited with a forceful slam of the door. He wandered into an empty alley and opened the seal of the wine jar. Night fragrance, bronze level, effect. Increases the drinker's attack power by 30. Reduces the drinker's attack speed by 10, lasting for 30 minutes. Description: a fine brew from Li Er of the novice village, primarily used to convey certain special messages. Lu Yu withdrew the village chief's sleeping powder and poured it into the jar, then gently shook it to mix, resealing the lid carefully. Perfect. There was no indication of any alteration from the outside. Lu Yu approached the door of Wang's widow, which was slightly ajar. Peering through the crack, he could see the comely young woman hanging laundry in her yard, her undergarments draped over the clothesline. Polite, he knocked on the door. Come in. I've left the door open for you, came Wang's widow's voice from within. Left in a state of confusion, Lu Yu nonetheless stepped into the yard. You incorrigible man. Coming over before nightfall, let us see if I don't exhaust you tonight. Wang's widow exclaimed as she turned, only to be momentarily taken aback at the sight of Lu Yu. Clearing his throat, Lu Yu said, Sister, Li Er sent me to deliver a jar of wine. Wang's widow glanced at the jar in Lu Yu's hands, her expression swiftly returning to calm as if nothing had transpired moments before, casually taking the jar from him. Thank you for your trouble, young man. It gets lonely living alone as a woman. Every night, I can only drink a bit of wine to ease the solitude. As she spoke, she carried the jar into the house, adding, Would you care to join me for a couple of drinks? In a secluded setting, a solitary man and woman shared a drink, a situation that seemed rather inappropriate. However, observing the demeanor of Widow Wang, it was evident that she would not indulge in drinking alone if he did not accompany her. With a resolute heart, Lu Yu steeled himself and ventured into the house, vowing that his intentions were solely for the task at hand, devoid of any ulterior motives. Widow Wang produced 2 cups, pouring herself and Lu Yu a drink. Come, young man, let us partake together. Lu Yu raised his cup, swallowing hard. What is the matter, young man? Are you hesitant to drink, fearing I have spiked your beverage? Chapter 18. Widow Wang. Lu Yu's expression faltered momentarily before he proclaimed with a sense of righteousness, as a noble hero from the novice village. How could I possibly engage in such treachery? Oh, do not be so anxious. I was merely jesting, Widow Wang giggled, placing her hand on Lu Yu's cup and guiding it towards his lips. In a fluster, Lu Yu pushed the cup away and clutched his abdomen. Sister, I suddenly feel a sharp pain in my stomach. May I borrow your restroom? Ah, the restroom is just outside in the courtyard. Thank you. Lu Yu clutched his stomach. Shuffling towards the yard, Widow Wang leaned against the doorframe, watching him with a smile that turned into a series of chuckles. As Lu Yu approached the restroom, he suddenly pivoted, seizing a piece of clothing from the drying rack, and vaulted over the wall in a swift escape. Widow Wang, still holding her cup, was momentarily taken aback by his audacity. Her smile vanished, quickly replaced by shock as she tossed her cup aside and dashed out, her speed surprisingly rivaling that of Lu Yu. Just as she was about to leap over the wall in pursuit, 2 daggers materialized from thin air, aimed at her neck and abdomen. Widow Wang, unable to evade in midair, took the brunt of both attacks, her momentum faltering. Yet, in the next instant, she retaliated with a powerful kick to the goblin assassin's chest, her embroidered shoe piercing through his heart. The goblin assassin's health bar vanished in an instant, his form dissipating into shimmering particles. Goodness, a swift kill, Lu Yu exclaimed in astonishment, realizing why the old village chief had cautioned him against this formidable woman. To vanquish a goblin assassin so effortlessly indicated that Widow Wang's attributes were at least on par with the likes of the shallow water crocodile king. Such a high-caliber NPC surely possessed something extraordinary about her undergarments. Lu Yu glanced at the piece of clothing. Widow Wang's underwear, silver-grade item, effect, dispels certain special seals. Description, infused with Widow Wang's alluring fragrance, those who inhale it find themselves utterly captivated. The scent was indeed intoxicating, and Lu Yu found himself irresistibly drawn to it. Bringing it closer to his nose for a whiff, the aroma was utterly enchanting. Suddenly, a system notification interrupted his reverie. You are affected by a shallow seal, reducing your attack speed and damage by 50 for 12 hours. Lu Yu jolted back to reality, realizing he had succumbed to a negative effect. It appears that the old village chief's interest in the undergarment is not merely due to lewdness. Lu Yu, wary of the situation, hastily stowed the piece of clothing into his backpack and continued his frantic dash towards the chief's abode. However, the effects of the seal significantly hampered Lu Yu's speed, and Widow Wang had already dispatched the goblin assassin that had attempted to ambush him, charging directly at Lu Yu. Little rascal, what do you intend to do with your sister's undergarment? It's not so easily taken. Widow Wang's voice echoed from the alleyway, and in the blink of an eye, she was before Lu Yu. Before he could react, a dagger had already grazed his neck. The number 861 floated ominously above his head, marking a sudden loss of half his health, even while clad in the Crocodile King's armor. It was no wonder that she could eliminate a goblin assassin in a single blow. With such damage, even Lu Yu could withstand no more than 2 strikes. He had encountered a formidable opponent. I knew that the old village chief's task would not be easily accomplished. He spoke of his plans as infallible. How absurd. Lu Yu cursed the chief internally, yet his movements did not falter. He downed a potion and began to retreat slowly while summoning dozens of goblin assassins and archers around him. The narrow alleys of the village offered little space. Unless he wished to turn the entire novice village into his enemy, it was prudent to keep the colossal goblin confined to the summoning space. Fortunately, due to the limited area, the goblins surrounding Lu Yu provided him a temporary reprieve from Widow Wang's attacks, forcing her to engage with the goblins instead. However, given her speed, it wouldn't be long before she broke through their ranks. Gritting his teeth, Lu Yu decided to employ the shadow clone technique. With his main body critically injured, a single touch from Widow Wang would surely spell his demise, yet he could not afford to dwell on that now. Dying once would merely cost him a level. He could regain that with some effort. But this task must be completed. He tossed the undergarment to his clone, directing it to race back to the old village chief's home. Yet, the clone mirrored Lu Yu's weakened attributes, its movement and attack speed halved. Lu Yu could only strive to buy time for his clone. Regrettably, the clone could not summon, or else Lu Yu would have entrusted it with the task of holding the rear while he personally delivered the item. Come on, you little witch. If you want the undergarment, come and take it from me. Lu Yu's taunts failed to draw Widow Wang's attention. She seemed to sense the location of the undergarment, kicking aside a goblin assassin that attempted to ambush her before leaping onto the rooftops, heading straight for the clone. In a hurry, Lu Yu summoned goblins atop the roof to obstruct Widow Wang's path. At this moment, the clone had already turned into the alley where the old village chief resided. On the verge of entering his courtyard, Widow Wang, as if driven mad, disregarded the arrows from the archers and the attacks from the assassins, willing to sustain serious injuries just to intercept Lu Yu's clone. Her speed surpassed Lu Yu's, and the clone, equally affected by the seal, stood no chance against Widow Wang. In the blink of an eye, Widow Wang appeared behind the clone, brandishing a dagger that glimmered ominously. With a swift motion, she executed a signature assassin skill, backstab, inflicting a staggering 200 damage upon her target. As Widow Wang lunged forward in frenzy, Lu Yu sensed impending peril. Upon witnessing her sudden appearance, he promptly commanded his clone to leap forward. Throughout their previous skirmishes, Lu Yu had discerned that Widow Wang was an assassin, and her first skill would undoubtedly be a backstab. Though the dagger did not pierce the clone's flesh, it left a grievous wound. 901 health points were lost, narrowly avoiding instant annihilation. If this continued, neither his true self nor the clone would be able to return to the old village chief's abode. There was no time for hesitation. The mission took precedence. Gritting his teeth, Lu Yu summoned 2 colossal goblin beasts within the alley. Their immense forms filled the narrow space, causing bricks and tiles from the adjacent houses to tumble down. They positioned themselves in a defensive formation, effectively blocking Widow Wang's escape routes. Attempting to scale the wall for a continued pursuit, Widow Wang was forcefully swatted back down by one of the goblin beasts, rendering her momentarily immobile. Seizing the opportunity, the clone dashed into the old village chief's courtyard, delivering the undergarment to him. Meanwhile, curious villagers emerged from their homes, their eyes widening in alarm at the sight of the enormous goblin beasts, their expressions fraught with panic. The village chief approached, taking in the chaotic scene and the damaged structures, his brow furrowing in concern. What on earth is happening? Before Lu Yu could respond, Widow Wang interjected. Our village's hero has audaciously aided the old chief in stealing my undergarment. I sought to reclaim it, only to find he summoned these two brutes to torment me. As a delicate woman, I have been harassed time and again. How am I to survive this? As she spoke, tears streamed down her face, her waist twisting in a subtle, almost seductive manner, a stark contrast to her earlier ferocity. The village chief turned to Lu Yu. Adventurer, do you have anything to say for yourself? Lu Yu found himself momentarily speechless, for the essence of the situation aligned closely with Widow Wang's narrative. He had accepted the old chief's task to steal her undergarment and was now being pursued. As he pondered how to respond, the old village chief emerged from the courtyard. The festering sores on his body had diminished significantly, yet his pallor remained strikingly pale. What is this commotion at my doorstep? The village chief's expression darkened upon noticing the old chief's condition. Ah, my esteemed successor, it appears your complexion is rather poor, he taunted, laced with provocation. Disregarding the old chief's words, the village chief turned back to Lu Yu, stating, Adventurer, in light of the significant damage you have inflicted upon the village, I have decided to revoke the title of village hero that was bestowed upon you. System notification, your badge, Novice Village Hero, has been rendered invalid. System notification, Villager Dogshang's affection for you has decreased by 10, currently standing at 10. System notification, Villager Shogun's affection for you has diminished by 8, now totaling 8. System notification, at least half of the villagers' fondness for Lu Yu has turned negative, while the remainder hovers around 0. However, there is one exception, the old village chief, who is grinning widely. System notification, the old chief's affection for you has increased by 20, currently reaching 70. The chief, with a serious demeanor, stated, Adventurer, you must compensate the villagers for the damage to their homes. System notification, the chief has assigned you a mandatory quest. You must choose between the following two options. 1. Repair the villagers' damaged homes, or 2. Compensate the villagers with 10 gold coins. Quest reward, none. Quest penalty, level 10 and permanent banishment from the novice village. I choose option 2. Without hesitation, Lu Yu retrieved 10 gold coins from his backpack and handed them to the villager. It was impossible to ask him to rebuild, so better to part with wealth than face disaster. The villager accepted the compensation, shot Lu Yu a fierce glare, and gradually dispersed. Once the matter was settled, the chief also departed, and as he passed Lu Yu, he softly advised, Adventurer, as the chief of the novice village, I offer you a piece of counsel. Do not grow too close to that old man, for he will bring calamity upon the entire village. Lu Yu gazed at the chief's departing figure, lost in contemplation. Ha ha ha, Adventurer, you managed to acquire Widow Wang's undergarments for me. Well done. Here is your reward. System notification, you have completed the old chief's task, earning 10 experience points and 1,000 reputation. System notification, due to reaching level 10 and remaining in the novice village, you cannot receive experience rewards. Classic mosquito meat. Lu Yu felt somewhat displeased. Old chief, what about the skill book you promised? Patience, young man, for there are more sequential tasks ahead. Lu Yu gritted his teeth. Had it not been for that skill book, he would have long since ventured to the second-tier main city. Old chief, what task lies ahead? The old chief smacked his lips. I crave another feast of crocodile meat. It is simply unforgettable. Lu Yu raised his staff, aiming it at the old chief. Just kidding, just kidding. The chief quickly corrected himself. My poison has been dealt with. No need for more crocodile meat. Now, there is a more pressing matter I must entrust to you. To the east of the village lies a great serpent. To the west, a massive tree. To the south, the crocodile king of the shallow bay. And to the north, the goblin general of the sunset forest. These are the 4 great scourges of our village. I need you to eliminate these 4 calamities. I have already dealt with the crocodile king, Lu Yu asserted. Now only 3 remain. No, the old chief shook his head. The crocodile king is close to revival. You must eradicate him completely. Completely eradicate him? Indeed, the old chief gazed at Lu Yu with significant meaning. Lu Yu raised an eyebrow, contemplating how to confine it within my summoning space, rendering it incapable of refreshing. This old fellow can actually see through my profession? Adventurer, the entire novice village relies on you. The old village chief remarked, attempting to pat Lu Yu on the shoulder. Lu Yu deftly evaded, leaving the old chief to awkwardly retract his hand, yet his face remained unflushed. He continued, these monsters possess formidable strength, particularly the goblin general, whose power is most terrifying. You must exercise caution. Unexpectedly, this lecherous old man seems genuinely concerned for the village. These so-called 4 calamities are renowned bosses within the novice village. However, that tree, which is said to bless the village with favorable weather, has somehow become one of the calamities, regardless of whether it is a calamity or not. They are all wild boss monsters. Eliminating them would have no repercussions. Old village chief, I must inquire, how many stages does this chain quest consist of? Young man, do you harbor doubts about my integrity? As the esteemed village chief of a novice village, would I deceive you? Former village chief, Lu Yu interjected. Very well. Since you put it that way, I shall inform you that after you resolve these 4 calamities, assist me with 1 more task, and your quest will be deemed complete. Lu Yu remained silent, staring at the old chief. The old chief, perplexed, soon shook his head with a wry smile. Shortly thereafter, A system notification appeared in Lu Yu's message list. System notification, your chain quest has progressed to the 3rd stage. 1 stage remains. Lu Yu nodded in satisfaction. When dealing with this old man, it is imperative to ensure that everything is recorded within the system notifications. This way, he cannot renege on his word. For Lu Yu, the most challenging of the 3 bosses is not the Goblin General, but rather the Millennial Divine tree situated to the west of the village. This tree spirit possesses a restorative passive skill, making it nearly impossible to defeat unless sufficient damage is inflicted. I recall in my previous life, this tree spirit remained unconquered until the abyss descended. To vanquish that tree spirit, one must inflict massive damage within a short time frame, necessitating a plethora of powerful summons. Thus, Lu Yu relegated the Millennial Tree Spirit to the last position on his list. One must seize the softest fruit first, as the Shallow Water Crocodile King has yet to respawn. I shall first tackle the Blackwater Giant Python. Chapter 19. Blackwater Marsh. The Blackwater Marsh, located to the east of the village, serves as the habitat for the Blackwater Giant Python. Lu Yu assessed his own status, ensuring his ID was hidden and his equipment sheen was turned off. Excellent. I shall set forth. The Blackwater Marsh is predominantly inhabited by level 46 Blackwater snakes, a veritable haven for leveling up for mainstream players at this stage. The outskirts of the marsh are teeming with players, their voice is a cacophony. Purely casual teams, we have a tank and some meat. We just need 1 DPS to get started. 5-man team, we have a healer, ample healing, we require a meat shield. Is there a level 6 archer available? High-level teams, averaging level 6, let us farm quickly. Priest, bring forth a healer of ample supply. Our team offers free blue potions. The attributes of the wild creatures in the novice village far exceed those of players of the same level. Solo players find it nearly impossible to defeat wild monsters without forming a party. However, this situation improves significantly upon entering the 2nd-tier main city. A buzzcut approached Lu Yu. Hey, you're alone too, right? Would you like to join our team? We're all solo players and just happen to need a mage. Experience will be shared. Thank you, but I prefer to venture alone, Lu Yu replied, waving his hand as he continued onward. The buzzcut, undeterred, pressed on, buddy. The Blackwater snakes here are quite cunning. You won't be able to handle them alone. Teaming up may yield less experience, but it guarantees safety. Ignoring the persistent buzzcut, Lu Yu strode deeper into the Blackwater Marsh. A mere fragile mage dares to enter the Blackwater Marsh alone. Pure folly. If you emerge safely from there, I'll eat my words. The buzzcut shouted after Lu Yu's retreating figure, his anger boiling over. Lu Yu merely scoffed and quickened his pace. On the periphery of the Blackwater Marsh, only level 4 Blackwater snakes lurked. As one ventured inward, the creature's levels increased and the number of players dwindled. In the central region, only a handful of players remained to engage in combat. Not far from him, 3 individuals were cooperating to level up. These were all level 56 Blackwater snakes, lying in wait within the marsh, ready to pounce upon any player who passed by. Players capable of reaching this stage generally had guild support or were skilled soloists. Most formed 3-player teams, spaced apart to avoid interference. As Lu Yu passed a puddle, a 2-meter-long, jet-black snake leapt from the water, sinking its fangs into his calf. System notification. You have been inflicted with a poison effect, reducing 2 health points per second, lasting 30 seconds. The Blackwater snake posed a significant headache for players, not just because of its high attack power, but also due to the accompanying poisoning effect, which could stack. Typically, small teams would only engage a maximum of 2 Blackwater snakes at once. Exceeding this could lead to annihilation. However, this damage was trivial to Lu Yu. He wielded his staff, casting a luminous orb that struck the ambushing Blackwater snake on the head, reducing its health by 1/3. Following this, he unleashed 2 successive basic attacks, causing the Blackwater snake to dissolve into light and vanish into the summoning space. Continuing deeper into the marsh, Lu Yu found that these level 5 and 6 wild creatures no longer met his combat requirements, and he had little interest in collecting them en masse into his summoning space. Moreover, in the days to come, this location would transform into the primary leveling ground for the majority of players. Previously, the abduction of the large-eared rabbit had already drawn scathing criticism on the forum, and now, if they were to seize the Blackwater snake, it would truly leave no room for the novice players of the 12,315 village. The path through the central area of the Blackwater Marsh was even more treacherous, and Lu Yu trudged along the elevated sections between the puddles with great difficulty. When confronted by the Blackwater snakes that attacked him, he swiftly dispatched them with ease. For a level 10 Lu Yu, even in the absence of a summoned beast, he could manage just fine on his own. His primary concern was not the snakes that occasionally leaped from the puddles, but rather the 3 players who were not far from him. Ever since he arrived in the central region, those 3 players had been intentionally or unintentionally drawing closer to him. They appeared to be leveling up, yet their glances frequently lingered on Lu Yu. As a mage equipped with merely a staff and a piece of leather armor, it was natural to attract attention, but being scrutinized continuously was rather unusual. Lu Yu halted his steps and scrutinized the trio. They clearly knew each other in real life, with their IDs reading Fist Against the Nursing Home, Kick the Kindergarten, and Nightly Assault on Widows. Upon noticing that Lu Yu had ceased his advance, they exchanged glances and approached him directly. Hey, are you leveling up alone? Fist against the nursing home inquired. Lu Yu nodded in silence. This map makes solo leveling quite challenging. How about teaming up with us? We can even lend you some suitable gear, Fist against the nursing home offered. No need. I prefer to go solo, Lu Yu replied. But we're not accustomed to that. The black water snakes you just killed were within our leveling range. How do you intend to compensate us? Lu Yu chuckled softly, patting his leather armor. How about I give you this leather armor? Ah, the lad is quite astute. Fist against the nursing home waved his hand. And kicked the kindergarten along with nightly assault on widows swiftly moved closer, surrounding Lu Yu. You made it this far thanks to that armor, didn't you? Today, you have two choices. Either you voluntarily relinquish that armor, or we will take you with it. Choose wisely. Lu Yu stroked his chin thoughtfully. That is a tough choice. How about I take some time to consider? Nightly assault on widows, growing impatient, interjected, stop with the nonsense. If you don't want to lose a level, hand over the armor. Otherwise, we will kill you repeatedly until we obtain it. Before nightly assault on widows could finish his sentence, a dagger suddenly pierced through his chest from behind. Old 3. Fist against the nursing home exclaimed in shock. No, it's an assassin. Just as he turned to flee, he felt a chill at his throat, and his health bar plummeted instantly. In his final moments, he glimpsed Kick the kindergarten lying lifeless on the ground. Lu Yu collected the items dropped by the trio, which consisted only of a few potions and some snake skins. No equipment had been dropped. The staff of nightly assault on widows appeared to be a piece of black iron. Such a pity. In the abyss, killing and looting was commonplace. But unfortunately for the three of you, you chose the wrong target this time. Lu Yu tossed his belongings into his backpack and ventured deeper into the Blackwater Marsh. Soon arriving at the heart of the swamp, the domain of the Blackwater Python. Chapter 20. The Blackwater Python. All around him lay fathomless pools of black water, with the slightly elevated ground between them forming intricate pathways. Lu Yu treaded carefully along these paths, diligently observing his surroundings. Here, the presence of the Blackwater serpent was absent, and an eerie silence enveloped the area. Suddenly, a jet-black stream erupted from the pool, hurtling directly towards Lu Yu's face. He attempted to sidestep, but his body lagged, and the dark water splashed onto his shoulder. System notification: you have been attacked by the Blackwater Python, suffering 123 points of damage and entering a poisoned state. Losing 30 health points per second, with healing effects reduced by 50, lasting for 30 seconds. A standard attack could accumulate over 1,000 points of damage, surpassing Lu Yu's health limit, along with accompanying debuffs. Lu Yu consumed a health potion, which normally would restore 200 health points, but now only granted him 100. He swiftly retreated, summoning 3 colossal goblins to encircle him. Simultaneously, several goblin assassins and archers emerged from various corners of the Blackwater pool. Lu Yu instructed the goblins to remain on high alert, closely monitoring the situation around the pools. His intention in summoning them was to guard against a surprise attack from the Blackwater Python, relying primarily on the 3 colossal goblins for any offensive action. Though the pools appeared separate, they were interconnected by underwater tunnels. Suddenly, ripples formed in the pool beside him. Lu Yu quickly dodged as a stream of water grazed his cheek, followed by a hefty wooden stick crashing into the pool. While evading, he commanded the nearest colossal goblin to strike at the epicenter of the disturbance. The massive goblin's attack was as formidable as ever. The wooden stick crashed down, sending water splattering. A serpent over 10 meters long surged from the depths of the black water, its body as thick as a barrel, entirely enveloped in darkness, save for its 2 eyes, which glimmered with a jade-green light. Blackwater Python, Black Iron level boss. Level, 15 health, 15. 000 attack, 60 defense, 60. Expand to view more. Skills, strangulation, shedding. Invincible body description. The ruler of the Blackwater Marsh. Each attack inflicts a poisoning effect. The attributes of the Blackwater Python are far inferior to those of its equally infamous counterpart, the Shallows Crocodile King, yet its most insidious trait lies in its toxins. Any successful attack will poison the target. In times when the priest has yet to master purification, this poison must be endured. The poison afflicting Lu Yu has yet to dissipate, compelling him to rely on an incessant consumption of blood potions to sustain his vitality. Upon emerging from the depths, the Blackwater Python ensnares the wooden staff of the colossal goblin with its tail, subsequently coiling its body to tightly constrict the assailant. The skill activated is strangulation. The ensnared goblin, despite its desperate efforts, finds itself utterly immobilized, its life force gradually waning. The remaining 2 colossal goblins rush forward, discarding their staffs. One seizes the python's head while the other grasps its tail. Under Lu Yu's guidance, the duo begins to spin around the central goblin, maintaining a firm grip on the serpent. The Blackwater Python struggles vehemently, yet all efforts prove futile. Its attributes are inherently inferior to those of the goblins, and previously, it had been unable to escape due to the immobilization of the central goblin. Now, with 2 goblins clutching it from both ends, the python finds itself completely confined. Freed from its previous constraints, the goblin reclaims its staff and strikes down upon the python's vulnerable spot with great ferocity. With each blow, 1, 2, 3, The wooden staff inflicts significant damage, eroding the python's health by thousands with every strike. The serpent writhes in agony, yet the two goblins maintain their grip, preventing any escape. Soon, the python's life force plummets below 10, triggering a flash of golden light as the invincible golden body effect activates, nullifying all control and negative effects for a fleeting second. Though brief, that moment proves sufficient for the black water python to evade its pursuers. Under the aegis of invincibility, the goblins can no longer restrain the serpent, their grasp easily relinquished. The python swiftly plunges back into the depths of the pool, vanishing from sight. The three goblins, in a frenzy, strike the water's surface with their staffs, yet the python remains hidden at the bottom, refusing to surface. Lu Yu, stroking his chin, ponders the remarkable intelligence displayed by the boss of the novice village. Even golden-tier bosses have never resorted to submerging themselves to avoid confrontation. Regrettably, the colossal goblins cannot enter the water, despite their ferocity on land. Once submerged, they would merely serve as prey for the black water python. If only the shallow water crocodile were still alive. The python is severely weakened, and the crocodile could easily claim victory. However, it has been less than 24 hours since the crocodile's demise, and even though it is no longer Lu Yu's summoned beast, it has yet to respawn. As for other wild creatures in the summoning space, they are even less viable. Only a few black water snakes, carelessly dispatched while traversing the black water marsh, can enter the water, but they stand no chance against the formidable python, hiding beneath the surface. The black water python will soon exit combat status and gradually restore its health. Once revitalized, defeating it will be an even greater challenge. Lu Yu gazes at the three goblins standing idly by, shaking his head in dismay. There exists a fundamental disparity between the abyssal beasts and the boss. Were the colossal goblin to possess an invulnerable state, the effects would merely cancel each other out, rendering the blackwater giant python unable to escape. However, the colossal goblin is limited to merely two skills, Tremor of the Tiger Body and Bloodlust, which are of little consequence. But wait. Lu Yu's gaze fell upon the skill, Tremor of the Tiger Body. Chapter 21, Decapitation. This skill bears considerable power, and its damage is substantial. Back in the cave, he had been dozens of meters away from the colossal goblin, yet still found himself affected by this skill. Without hesitation, Lu Yu summoned all the blackwater snakes within the spatial realm and cast them into the blackwater pool. A dozen blackwater snakes scattered, swimming throughout the depths. They were certainly no match for the blackwater giant python. Lu Yu released them solely to ascertain the python's location. Soon, two blackwater snakes discovered the blackwater giant python lurking at the bottom of the pool, but in the next instant, they were swiftly eliminated by the python. However, this was sufficient. Three colossal goblins dashed toward the position directly above the blackwater giant python, leaping high into the air before crashing down. All three unleashed Tremor of the Tiger Body simultaneously. Instantly, the blackwater pool seemed to collapse as if the heavens had fallen. Several incomplete paths crumbled, and the surrounding small pools merged into one. It was akin to dropping a bomb into the pool, as the murky waters erupted outward, creating a towering curtain of water several meters high. Lu Yu struggled to maintain his balance to avoid falling. Fortunately, the colossal goblins were his summons and could not inflict harm upon him. Otherwise, such a tremor would undoubtedly have been fatal. System notification. Congratulations. You have slain the Black Iron level boss, Blackwater Giant Python, earning 50 experience points and 500 reputation points. System notification. Due to reaching level 10 and remaining within the novice village, you are unable to receive experience rewards. This boss defeat did not trigger a system announcement, indicating that other players had already conquered the Blackwater Giant Python while Lu Yu was resting. He opened the summoning space, revealing a massive black python coiled at the center. Flicking its tongue, deprived of the black water's immersion, the python now displayed a dark bluish hue. Lu Yu summoned the Blackwater Giant Python, instructing it to dive into the depths. The loot from the boss's defeat remained on the bottom. Yet he pondered whether it would be somewhat cruel to have the Blackwater Giant Python retrieve the spoils of its own demise. He stroked his chin, relieved that these low-tier boss creatures possessed limited intelligence and could not retain memories. Lu Yu had previously witnessed a high-tier boss, which, after being slain by a group of players, lay in wait outside the main city only to ambush those who had once attacked it, sending them back to the city without charge. During that period, many players refrained from venturing outside to level up. It was not until a level 150 master from the heavenly ranking wielded the power of the abyss to utterly annihilate the boss that the main city returned to its normal state. Soon, the Blackwater Python surfaced, clutching two items and a piece of equipment in its jaws. It placed the items at Lu Yu's feet, affectionately nudging its head against Lu Yu's trousers. Upon noticing Lu Yu's slight frown, it promptly withdrew. Lu Yu wiped the mud clinging to his pant leg and picked up the items. The two objects were a python skin and a venomous gallbladder. The python skin, akin to that of the shallow water crocodile king, could be utilized as crafting material for equipment. However, crafting required players to take on a secondary profession, a task for after reaching the level 2 main city. Lu Yu promptly tossed it into his backpack. The other item was a fist-sized venomous gallbladder. Python venom gallbladder. bronze level. Description: contains deadly poison. A single lick results in full body paralysis. 2 licks lead to immediate death. And 3 licks leave no opportunity for a third. Lu Yu scoffed, expressing his disbelief. He swiftly placed the gallbladder in the last slot of his backpack to prevent any contact with other items. The final piece of equipment was a ring, adorned with a sharp fang resembling the poisonous tooth of the Blackwater python. Ring of the Azure Descent. Black iron. Level: 10 attack, 1 defense, 1 effect 1. The wearer loses 10 health points per second. Effect 2. When attacking, there is a 1 chance to inflict the poison status on the target. Description: a ring crafted from the venomous fangs of the Blackwater python, imbued with the serpent's hatred for its wearer. Lu Yu examined the ring, then glanced at the Blackwater python. Is this the treasure you dropped? A meager 1 point of attack and defense, so perfunctory, and one of the effects is even negative? How can the system classify this as a black iron item? Even as a basic piece of equipment, it would struggle to find a buyer. With a mindset of curiosity, Lu Yu placed the Ring of the Azure Descent on the trading platform. He had no use for it, but one could never know if a foolish buyer might appear. The large sword he had obtained from Zhu Xiaochuan was set to conclude its auction in less than half an hour, with a player named Crazy Dragon leading the bids at 100,000, securing the top spot. The Crazy Dragon Guild was known for its wealth. Dragon Sniper, already at level 10, was likely purchasing the sword to prepare for the village challenge. However, a black iron item could only command a 6-figure price within the first 3 days of the server opening. Thereafter, as top players advanced to the level 2 main city, black iron items would lose their value. Thus, it was imperative to sell while the opportunity arose. Having sorted through his spoils, Lu Yu recalled all his summons into the void, leaving only a few goblin assassins to guard him in the shadows. Upon exiting the Blackwater pool, players had already begun to explore the outskirts of the Blackwater marsh, and the Buzzcut squad had also made their way here. Upon seeing Lu Yu emerge, the Buzzcut man was slightly taken aback. Well, I didn't expect you to actually make it out alive. Was he hiding inside for 10 minutes just to save face, only to emerge without even catching a glimpse of the Blackwater giant python? Ha! The laughter of those around him echoed in unison. Lu Yu ignored the Buzzcut man and walked straight toward the outskirts of the Blackwater marsh. A full 24 hours had elapsed since the server launch. Within the next 24 hours, the most elite players would gradually enter the secondary main city. He needed to seize the moment, for the finest resources would soon be uncovered and claimed. Clearly, he was reluctant to engage with us, just as I suspected. Young man, refrain from posturing before me in the future. Suddenly, a Blackwater snake leapt from the marsh, aiming directly for Lu Yu. Just as the serpent's venomous fangs were about to pierce Lu Yu's neck, 2 daggers materialized out of thin air, plunging simultaneously into the snake's vital spot. In the next instant, the Blackwater snake disintegrated in midair, leaving no trace, as the 2 goblin assassins vanished back into stealth. The Buzzcut man was left utterly bewildered. What just transpired? It seemed that 2 goblins had effortlessly dispatched a Blackwater snake that had dared to attack him. The serpent had left no remains. A subordinate gently nudged the Buzzcut man. Boss, that Blackwater snake left no corpse. And what of it? I read on the forum that when monsters are slain, their bodies do not disappear until they respawn, unless they are killed by that specific individual. That individual? You mean the esteemed Qingjiu? The subordinate nodded. Oh my. The Buzzcut man's eyes widened in shock. That person was actually Qingjiu. I just mocked Qingjiu. Wait for me, esteemed one. I didn't mean it. Do you still need any charms for your legs? As the Buzzcut man chased after him, Lu Yu had already vanished from sight. Chapter 22. System announcement. After leaving the Blackwater marsh, Lu Yu did not head directly to the goblin nest. The King Goblin was the most formidable wild boss in the novice village, bolstered by 3 colossal goblins and the Blackwater giant python. Lu Yu lacked the confidence to defeat this ruler of the novice village. Unable to level up himself, enhancing his strength proved to be a daunting challenge. The only strategy Lu Yu could conceive was that of sheer numbers. Little alligators, I'm back. The shallow water crocodiles, aside from the goblin nest, were the highest level monsters in the novice village, boasting high attack and defense, making them one of the best options for taking down bosses. Ever since the previous annihilation of the shallow water crocodiles along with their king, Lu Yu's summoning space had remained eerily quiet, with no wild monsters exceeding 3 digits. Now was the time to gather a group of subordinates. The shallow water bay, as the highest level training ground, had seen little traffic. Even top-tier players who had reached level 9 were reluctant to grind here. The high attack and defense of the shallow water crocodiles were a nightmare for every player. Should one inadvertently perish, the cost in time would be considerable. Thus, the majority of adept individuals would rather remain in the Sunset Forest, engaging in a battle of wits with the goblins, than venture into the shallow bay for adventure. This reluctance is partly due to their unawareness of the existence of the shallow water crocodile set. Once they become cognizant of the attributes of this equipment, the shallow bay will undoubtedly no longer be as desolate as it currently is. Upon arriving at shallow bay, Lu Yu summoned 3 colossal goblin beasts along with the Blackwater python. Although the 3 colossal goblin beasts had sustained injuries during their previous skirmish with the Blackwater python, their health remained above 80. Lu Yu refrained from summoning additional wild creatures, opting instead to deploy several goblin assassins to patrol the vicinity. Lacking a healing skill, Liu Yu could only strive to pursue a strategy of flawless monster elimination. Each colossal goblin could dispatch a shallow water crocodile with a single blow, and soon, the three colossal goblins advanced in separate directions, swiftly clearing a significant area, while the black water python lacked the capacity to eliminate a shallow water crocodile instantaneously. Its intelligence was remarkable. It rapidly circled among the shallow water crocodiles, drawing a considerable number together, before entwining them with its body and employing its strangulation skill to gradually suffocate them. The robust form of the black water python could eliminate dozens of shallow water crocodiles with each constriction. Liu Yu, not idle himself, located a sizable rock and instructed the goblins to gather some wooden sticks to construct a framework. Grasping his staff, he executed a basic attack to ignite the pile of wood, thereby creating a rudimentary barbecue grill. From his backpack, Liu Yu retrieved several pieces of crocodile meat and placed them upon the grill, while two goblin pups turned it to ensure even cooking. Having dispatched so much crocodile meat, it all went to the old village chief, and Liu Yu had yet to sample it himself, leaving him unaware of its taste. Given the village chief's fascination with crocodile meat, it must indeed possess a delightful flavor. Before long, the grill emanated a savory aroma as the fat dripped onto the charcoal, producing a satisfying sizzle. Liu Yu took a piece, placed it in his mouth, and savored it slowly. The taste resembled that of pork, but was notably more tender. Quite delightful, indeed, though regrettably lacking in seasoning. Consuming the meat alone felt somewhat incomplete. The system notified him, "You have consumed shallow water crocodile meat. Your resistance to toxins has increased, the chance of poisoning has decreased by 5, and the effects of poisoning have diminished by 5 for 30 seconds. It turned out that the meat of the shallow water crocodile possessed detoxifying properties. Should a chef prepare it, the effects would undoubtedly be significantly enhanced. The chef is one of the secondary professions, capable of maximizing the inherent qualities of ingredients through special culinary techniques. Upon entering the second-tier main city and formally assuming their primary profession, players may also select a secondary profession. In-game apothecaries only sell the most basic potions, while blacksmiths can merely repair equipment, and other logistical establishments provide only fundamental services. To obtain more effective potions and forge powerful equipment, one must rely on secondary professions. Liu Yu picked up a piece of roasted meat, just about to savor it, when he suddenly sensed the presence of goblin assassins. A considerable number of players were entering the depths of the shallow water bay from another direction. At this stage, it was not unusual for top-tier players to come here to level up, but the sight of them arriving in droves was peculiar. Moreover, their destination appeared to be the depths of the bay, presumably to challenge the shallow water crocodile king. Considering the time, it had been nearly 24 hours since he had slain the crocodile king, indicating that the boss was due to respawn soon. Liu Yu was unable to share the vision of his summoned beast, and could only sense vague information. However, given his current strength, even if all the players from the novice village converged, they would scarcely pose a threat to him. He continued to sit on the stone, leisurely enjoying his roasted crocodile meat, while simultaneously accessing the trading platform. The platform was bustling with players selling various items, with the most abundant being the quest item, big-eared rabbit fur. The novice village's big-eared rabbits had already been monopolized by several medium-sized guilds. New players entering the game received quests from the village chief, but found it impossible to catch the rabbits themselves, thus resorting to purchasing quest items from the platform. The sellers of the rabbit fur were none other than those medium-sized guild players. For merely 50 coins, one could acquire a set of quest items to complete the novice tasks, and many players were willing to save that time. However, some players expressed great dissatisfaction with this monopolization and banded together in an attempt to reclaim the big-eared rabbits. Yet, low-level players were no match for those guilds, and many were defeated. Even after the loot boxes containing equipment were dropped, they had no choice but to obediently purchase the fur from the platform to finish their quests. Liu Yu was not one to be overly sympathetic. He had seen such situations far too often. Humanity, in its essence, excelled at squabbling amongst itself. Only the emergence of an individual capable of uniting all factions could bring about true harmony. Liu Yu's ambition was to become that individual. He navigated to the auction page, where various equipment was up for bid. At this stage, all players lacked gear, and what was available for auction was primarily basic equipment. Liu Yu's black iron broadsword stood out prominently, even being pinned by the administrator. The current highest bid was from Quang Long, with a bid of 100,000 coins for the dragon sniper. With less than a minute remaining until the auction's conclusion, no higher bids had surfaced. Liu Yu remained unperturbed. The value of this sword was undoubtedly more than 100,000 coins, as weapons consistently commanded higher prices than other types of equipment. With only 30 seconds left in the auction, the price remained unchanged. As the timer ticked down to 10 seconds, the highest bid fluctuated to 110,000, then fell silent once more. In a mere 3 seconds, the highest bid oscillated between 120,000 and 130,000. In the subsequent 2 seconds, it surged to 135,000, 140,000, and finally reached 150,000. With just 1 second remaining, the figures climbed to 151, 000, 160, 000, 170, 000, and concluded at 176, 000. As the auction came to a close, a notification from the system emerged. The equipment you auctioned, the giant sword mantis blade, has been acquired by the player, Wild Dragon. For 200, 000. The system deducted a 10 fee, leaving you with 180, 000, which has been transferred to your linked bank account. Please check for confirmation. As anticipated, a faint smile graced Lu Yu's lips. His desire for wealth was minimal. After all, in a year's time, all tangible currency would merely become a pile of worthless paper. The balance in his account needed only to sustain his daily necessities. He withdrew 100, 000, replicated the auction notification from the trading platform, and issued a system announcement. System announcement, player Qingjio calling out system notification. The equipment you auctioned, the giant sword mantis blade, has been acquired by the player, Wild Dragon, for 200, 000. The system deducted a 10 fee, leaving you with 180, 000, which has been transferred to your linked bank account. Please check for confirmation. Players within the game exchanged glances. Their expressions a mix of confusion. It appeared that the esteemed Qingjio had merely forwarded the trading platform's notification. What could have been the purpose of such a message? Was it merely for show? Uncertain, yet aware that it was a piece of black iron equipment, one player remarked on his own meager collection of 2 whiteboard items, realizing that the esteemed one could afford to auction black iron gear. Meanwhile, Zhu Xiaochuan, who was en route, received the message, his expression darkening as he clenched his fists. After their last encounter, he had returned to analyze Lu Yu's combat style alongside Qingjio's videos. Ultimately, he reluctantly arrived at a disconcerting conclusion. Lu Yu was indeed Qingjio. When this realization struck him, it felt as if he had been struck by a bolt from the blue, leaving him momentarily stunned. The individual he once held dominion over had now transformed into a formidable force from the abyss, capable of effortlessly overpowering him. Though he was loath to accept this truth. As a top-tier expert, he recognized, upon comparing Qingjio's and Lu Yu's maneuvers, that they were, in fact, the same person. Moreover, it was a summoned swamp crocodile king that had dealt his demise, since Qingjio was Lu Yu, and the giant sword mantis blade had dropped from him. The intent behind Lu Yu's system announcement became glaringly evident. It was a blatant affront aimed directly at Zhu Xiaochuan. With a grim expression, Zhu Xiaochuan seethed, "Lu Yu, just wait. One day, you shall understand the consequences of crossing me." Beside him, a subordinate hastily interjected, "Brother Chuan, calm down, the mission is paramount. Once we complete the quest to slay the village chief and the swamp crocodile king, we will be rewarded with a bronze item. Brother Chuan, look over there. 3 goblins. Why are there goblins here? Could it be that the esteemed Qingjio is leveling up in this vicinity?" Zhu Xiaochuan furrowed his brow. Aware that Lu Yu had already reached level 10, he had likely delayed his departure to the secondary main city in order to assist the guild Wu Shi Wu Geng in leveling up. Now that Wu Shi Wu Geng had also attained level 10, Lu Yu must have long since departed from the novice village. This could be a narrative quest. Let us first test the waters with an attack. Alright, Brother Chuan. Chapter 23. The village chief's quest. Lu Yu rose and extinguished the charcoal fire. Judging by the number of shallow water crocodiles in the summoning space, the crocodile king should be making an appearance soon. System notification, your summoned creature, the giant goblin, is under attack from players Outyin and Xiaochuan. System notification, your summoned creature, the giant goblin, is under attack from player Outyin, the leader of the gold farming group. What is happening? My summoned creature is being attacked, and by Zhu Xiaochuan no less. Before Lu Yu could comprehend the situation, 2 more system notifications followed. System notification, your summoned creature, the giant goblin, has slain player Outyin, leader of the gold farming group. This kill is classified as self-defense and will not increase your notoriety. System notification, your summoned creature, the giant goblin, has slain player Outyin and Xiaochuan. This kill is classified as self-defense and will not increase your notoriety. Lu Yu. It was you who initiated the collision. You cannot blame me. After the previous incident of mercilessly slaughtering Zhu Xiaochuan and Sun Xiaoyi, Lu Yu no longer regarded them with any seriousness, provided they did not present themselves before him. How could an elephant concern itself with an ant that once nipped at its heel? Similarly, an elephant would remain indifferent to whether it inadvertently crushed an ant. Lu Yu expressed his profound sympathy for Zhu Xiaochuan's unfortunate demise, hoping for further such occurrences in the future. System notification. Due to your elimination of over half the shallow water crocodiles, you have angered the leader here. The crocodile king will arrive in 30 seconds. Prepare yourself. Excellent. It is finally emerging. Lu Yu promptly cast aside the incident involving Zhu Xiaochuan and proceeded directly to the spawning point of the shallow water crocodiles. The giant goblin had already engaged in a fierce struggle with the crocodile king. To elaborate, the giant goblin was forcefully pinning the crocodile king to the ground with relentless blows. The 3 giant goblins were well versed in this endeavor. One held the crocodile king's jaws shut, another gripped its tail, while the third focused on delivering a flurry of attacks. The black water python also took the opportunity to bite at it from time to time. Upon Lu Yu's arrival, The Crocodile King had already lost its golden body effect. After breaking free from the grasp of two giant goblins, the Crocodile King's first instinct was to flee. Seizing this brief moment of invulnerability, it swiftly dove back into the water. However, its speed underwater was no match for that of the black water python. Noticing the Crocodile King's attempt to escape, Lu Yu commanded the black water python to submerge, and at the instant the Crocodile King entered the water, the python ensnared it. The giant goblins rushed over to drag the Crocodile King back to shore, leading to yet another one-sided slaughter. Lu Yu gazed thoughtfully at the bloodied and battered shallow water Crocodile King before him. Is the intelligence of the boss in the novice village truly so elevated? Whether it was the black water python or the shallow water Crocodile King, their instinctive reaction upon realizing their imminent demise was to flee without hesitation. Such sagacity is rarely found even among higher-tier golden or platinum bosses. How could this diminutive black iron boss from the novice village exhibit greater cunning than foes 4 tiers above it? Yet, when summoned, it seemed to lack such acuity. Moments later, the shallow water Crocodile King reappeared in Lu Yu's summoning space, appearing somewhat dejected, curled up in a corner. In this encounter, the 3 giant beast goblins had sustained little to no injury, while the black water python remained in pristine condition. What left Lu Yu dissatisfied was the meager reward from vanquishing the shallow water Crocodile King, merely a handful of coins. With not a single piece of equipment, nor even any crocodile skin or meat, the drop rates in the novice village continued to be lamentable. However, Lu Yu's foremost objective was to capture the shallow water Crocodile King. With that goal achieved, he could proceed to summon the remaining shallow water crocodiles and prepare for the impending confrontation with the Goblin General. Just as he was about to summon the shallow water Crocodile King to assist in clearing the remaining crocodiles, he suddenly sensed the presence of goblin assassins. Several groups were approaching the shallow water bay. His brow furrowed in concern. The shallow water crocodiles were level 910 monsters. At this stage, only a select few elite players could venture here for leveling, even in a party. Surely, Zhu Xiaochuan wouldn't be so idle as to seek out trouble once more. Not far off, a group of players hastened towards him. Lu Yu quickly summoned the giant beast goblins and the black water python into the summoning space before turning to face the newcomers. A dozen players soon surrounded Lu Yu, each bearing the prefix Frenzied Dragon in their IDs. The foremost trio were the renowned Frenzied Dragon, Dragon Soul, Frenzied Dragon, Gun God, and Frenzied Dragon, Dragon Sniper. Dragon Sniper wielded the black iron mantis blade that Lu Yu had sold. Dragon Soul approached him, inquiring, "My friend, have you seen the boss, the shallow water Crocodile King?" "Indeed, it resides within my summoning space," Lu Yu replied coolly. "Alas, I have just arrived, and the shallow water crocodiles have vanished." Unperturbed, Lu Yu maintained his composure. Dragon Sniper slapped his thigh in frustration, exclaiming, "Damn it, we came too late." Given the situation, it seems it has been claimed by the esteemed Jiuqing, Dragon Soul side. "Friend, did you come alone to undertake this task?" "Task? What task?" Lu Yu was taken aback. He had indeed come to slay the shallow water Crocodile King to fulfill the elder villager's quest, yet that task should have been available solely to him. You are unaware? Due to the threat posed by the shallow water Crocodile King to the village chief issued a quest to slay the beast. Those who complete this task shall be rewarded with a piece of bronze equipment. Bronze equipment? Lu Yu was somewhat astonished. The village chief had such a grand gesture. No wonder Zhu Xiaochuan had come over earlier. The allure of bronze equipment is irresistible to players at this stage, and Lu Yu was no exception. With just a single piece of bronze armor, he rendered the wild monsters and players in Novice Village 99 defenseless. This was, of course, partly due to the exceptional quality of the Crocodile King armor, but the status of bronze equipment should not be underestimated either. This task is open to everyone. Is it not? Indeed, whether in a team or solo, as long as one defeats the shallow water Crocodile King, they may claim a piece of bronze equipment from the village chief. Lu Yu glanced at the shallow water Crocodile King in his summoning space. It should count as his kill, right? Would a piece of bronze equipment simply fall into his hands? Oh, but wait, Long Hun seemed to recall something. There was one exception. Who? Lu Yu felt a sense of foreboding. Who else could it be but Qing Jiao? Long Jiao exclaimed in anger. That rascal killed the boss yet receives no reward. What is he trying to prove? Long Jiao, stop babbling. Long Hun shot Long Jiao a glare and continued. The village chief stated that Qing Jiao has tarnished the village's reputation and thus cannot undertake any quests in Novice Village. Lu Yu pondered. Is he really Qing Jiao? Long Jiao wrapped his arm around Lu Yu. Brother, you have no idea. What is someone like him doing wandering around here? Lu Yu found himself at a loss for words. Unless he revealed his identity, he truly could not explain his presence here. You're not hoping to scavenge something here, are you? Huh, scavenge. What am I supposed to scavenge? Brother, don't feign ignorance, Long Jiao said, looking at Lu Yu with a knowing expression. Everyone in Novice Village knows that the chief of Outyin came to team up for the boss, but the whole party was annihilated. It is said that they were wiped out by the boss. I bet you came over hoping to get lucky and see if you could snatch some gear dropped by Outyin, right? Haha, come on, tell me. How many pieces of equipment did you find just now? Long Jiao waved his mantis blade. Brother, let me let you in on a secret. This weapon was originally Xiaochuan's. Those Outyin fellows are rolling in riches. You must have made quite a haul this time. Mind sharing a couple of pieces with me? Lu Yu couldn't help but roll his eyes internally. He hadn't found a single item. Those guys hadn't dropped anything at all. Long Jiao, stop talking nonsense. Long Hun pulled Long Jiao aside. Friends, we've all reached level 10. We initially intended to challenge the village chief to reach the second main city. But upon seeing this quest, we thought we would gather some equipment before departing. Now that the shallow water crocodile king is no longer here, we won't linger any longer. Looking at you, you must be an expert too. It's best to head to the second main city soon. I've heard that the resources there are far richer than those in Novice Village. Thank you. After Long Soul finished speaking, he turned with the members of the Mad Dragon Guild and departed. As they walked a distance, the typically silent Mad Dragon finally spoke up, saying, "That person must be Qingjiao." Long Jiao's eyes widened in disbelief. What? He is Qingjiao. Long Soul nodded affirmatively. It is highly likely to be him. A mage, alone in the territory of the shallow water crocodile king, concealing both his ID and equipment luster. Besides Qingjiao, I cannot think of anyone else. I assumed he had already moved to the secondary main city, but it seems he remains in the novice village for some unknown reason. Gun God nodded in agreement. A player of such caliber surely understands the advantages of entering the secondary main city early. His presence in the novice village must be due to an irresistible reason. Long Jiao thumped his thigh in distress. Oh no, I insulted him right in front of him. What should I do? Should I go back and apologize? Long Soul shot him a disapproving glance. I've always told you not to blurt out whatever comes to your mind, but you never listen. Now you've offended someone. What should I do, brother? Long Jiao's face was filled with regret. When I saw him, he didn't seem as unbearable as the forum suggested. He probably didn't take it to heart. It should be fine. That's a relief. Long Jiao sighed deeply. All right, we should head to the secondary main city soon. The top players from various guilds are gradually leaving the novice village, and we, Mad Dragon, cannot lag behind. Lu Yu observed the departure of the Mad Dragon guild members. Narrowing his eyes slightly, Long Soul likely suspected that he was Qingjiao, yet both parties tacitly chose not to address it. In his previous life, everyone believed that if Long Soul had not perished, Mad Dragon would undoubtedly rank among the top 10 human guilds. It seems that statement holds some truth. For humanity to establish a foothold in the abyss, individuals like Long Soul are indispensable, Lu Yu silently calculated. The giant beasts, goblins, crocodile king, and black water giant python were summoned once more, and Lu Yu instructed them to swiftly eliminate the crocodiles in Shallow Water Bay. For the next 2 days, not many players would come here to level up. Borrowing the shallow water crocodiles should raise no objections from the players. After defeating the goblin general, returning them would not be a problem. Before long, not a single shallow water crocodile remained in the vast shallow water bay. Lu Yu glanced at his summoning space, which contained 380 health giant beast goblins, 2 fully intact black iron level bosses, the shallow water crocodile king and the black water giant python, as well as over 1,000 shallow water crocodiles, nearly 100 black water snakes, and close to 100 goblin assassins and goblin archers. Additionally, there were a number of goblin pups and a large-eared rabbit. While the quantity appeared substantial, the quality was rather low, insufficient for facing the goblin general. The bosses and highest-level wild monsters from the novice village were all within Lu Yu's summoning space. To enhance the quality of his summoned beasts, he would have to venture into the goblin nest. Lu Yu surveyed the potions in his backpack, with the support of Zhu Xiaochuan and others. He now had a sufficient supply of potions. It is time to venture once more into the goblin lair. Chapter 25, The Goblin Guard. Deep within the Sunset Forest, at the periphery of the goblin lair, lies a shadowy and profound cave. Unlike before, 2 militia NPCs stand vigil at its entrance. This area is deemed hazardous, and adventurers are strictly prohibited from entering. You must leave immediately. As Lu Yu approached the cave, one of the militia stepped forward to obstruct his path. A restricted area? This was a novel experience for Lu Yu, especially you. Qingjiao, the village chief warned that if you were allowed in, you would unleash the creatures within upon the village. The last time, it was the goblins you brought forth that caused Uncle Zhang's house to collapse. Lu Yu retorted. Wasn't it just a few houses that fell during the raid for the widow's handkerchief? I have compensated for the damages already, yet you persist in your grievances against me. Having a negative reputation truly complicates matters. The goblin general resides within this lair. Entering is unavoidable. What if I force my way in? Lu Yu challenged. Then we shall have no choice but to apprehend you and deliver you to the village chief for judgment, the 2 militia declared. Brandishing their spears while revealing their ID levels, Militia Zhao Wei, Level 20 Black Iron Boss Militia Sun Qian, Level 20 Black Iron Boss They are genuinely prepared for confrontation. 2 Level 20 Black Iron Bosses are certainly formidable opponents. However, to expend my summoned beasts here would render me utterly powerless against the goblin general within. Most critically, vanquishing these 2 militia would irrevocably offend the village chief, jeopardizing my chance of entering the secondary main city. That would indeed be a lamentable fate. Just a jest, just a jest. Lu Yu waved his hand dismissively and retreated. The militia lowered their spears, resuming their posts at the cave's entrance. Do you believe that your prohibition will deter me? Lu Yu concealed himself behind a tree, keenly observing. Seizing the moment when the two militia were distracted, he suddenly dashed towards the cave entrance. Alas, he intends to force his way in. Block him. One militia shouted upon spotting Lu Yu racing towards the cave. He seeks to escape. Seize him and deliver him to the village chief. The two militia swiftly pursued Lu Yu's fleeing figure. As they chased after him, Lu Yu emerged from behind the tree and entered the cave. The instant he stepped into the cave, the environment transformed into a pitch-black, damp expanse. Lu Yu closed his eyes, taking a moment to acclimate before he could barely discern his surroundings. This place was unfamiliar to him. Aside from the rocky walls, there was naught but emptiness. Not even the presence of goblin excrement. However, scattered upon the ground were some dilapidated wooden stakes and planks. Lu Yu summoned forth the goblin assassins and goblin archers.